You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Hello, good evening everybody. This is Ninja, and in case you haven't noticed, Kate isn't here saying good evening everyone and welcome to Outside the Box, because it's me, because she's having a night off, a well-deserved rest, and she can take as many of those as she wants as far as I'm concerned. We've had the pleasure, the honour and the gift of Kate with us 7 nights a week for so long. I don't even know how long. And it's always difficult for her to take time off because she's so dedicated. But, you know, to just make it known, for my part anyway, that any time you need my love, any time at all, just take it. Regardless if somebody can stand in or not, just take it. Okay, so having said that, I would like to wish Kate very well, and moving on to what we've got planned for this evening, because we actually do have something planned. I've got a special guest, Paul, who you all know. He's been on the show a few times now at the table, and he's going to be joining us shortly. I'm going to unmute him in a moment to discuss the Qabalah. Now, I'm very lucky, actually, because I came onto whatever it is this lifetime round to do. Clearly, I'm doing some of that now. Not having studied very much like some people, not feeling the inclination for whatever reason. And I was wondering about that, because this is a subject I know little to nothing about, like many subjects. And I was wondering about that only the other day. And I decided that the reason is simple. I wrote those ancient texts that we often refer to. I am the ancients. I may not remember what I wrote or those lives I lived, but I do know it all. I know all of it. This lifetime, I've given myself the gift, let's say. I'm going to coin a phrase that I haven't heard before, so I'm going to say the gift of divine ignorance. For, you know, just clearing the path in this life for what I came here this time to know. So, you know, obviously I'm going to have forgotten a lot of stuff. I'm going to be ringing alarm bells and resonating and all this stuff, you know, but I haven't studied very much. I'm what some people would call a font of useless facts and, you know, bits of knowledge here and there. But I've never been a heavy studier, and I'm grateful for that, because I don't have very much to unlearn. Having said that, I'm very grateful for those of us who have done that this lifetime round, that are willing to come and share what they know, that have put years and years of dedication into the specialist subjects, if you like. Sounds like a quiz show, doesn't it? And Paul is one of those, and his knowledge is vast, and this is just one of the areas that he's decided to spend a lot of time on. And without further waffling on from myself, I'm going to open up Paul's line. Welcome to the show, Paul. How are you doing?
Hi, Ninj. I was just listening there. Yeah, I agree with you fully. We do know all this. It's just been, we forgot it. Do you know what I mean? We forgot it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do, you know, I'm always amazed at the information and the knowledge that is shared at this table and everywhere else. I mean, you know, it's the information age, and the internet's there. You press a button, you put a search term in, and there's some amazing information that you just can't even read it all. It's just reams and reams of it.
So much out there.
Yeah, there's so much. And
sorry, on you go, Nan.
Well, the point that it struck me was, my goodness, there's so much information out there. There's some incredibly knowledgeable people. And not only in one area, in very many areas like yourself, there's so much knowledge. And I'm by seeing that amount of knowledge, I realise how much I don't know in this life. But then I'm okay with that, because I just, I just pick up bits as I need them, and I go along. But it did occur to me, I must have lived more than one lifetime. We all talk about that, don't we, Paul? Oh, well, in another life.
There's got to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so therefore I've decided, as I said, I wrote all that stuff, or one version of me, or another version of you, or you know what I mean? It has to have been us. Who else could it have been? We're all here anyway.
I think I can't even really mind her name. There's a woman who writes a lot of books. I can't mind her name. And it's all about basically past life regression and stuff like that. I've been speaking to a friend, Terry, quite a bit about it, and she's been telling me bits and bobs. That's her thing. She's right into it, And it's kind of interesting, but it's, you look at it, reincarnation. The Buddhists believe it. Do you know what I mean? It's many lives, many souls, people. That's my personal opinion. You do you know what I mean? You are born again, but that's because if you really want to analyse it Kabbalistically, you could say that's because we've not managed to be Ophiuchus and grab control of Ouroboros and break free this paradise, which is kind of, as Milton would say, but paradise lost, So it's a bit of double-edged sword when you start to look at this. And then I got into it because of reading history, like history stuff. And a few years ago, about 8 years ago, I started looking into my family history, and it sprung up quite a lot of stuff. Like MacAlpine, who named King Kenneth MacAlpine, he named Scotland, and I was reading into that, and they mentioned Stone of Destiny, Stone of Jacob, and that's how I got into looking at the Jewish stuff, because I'm not Jewish. Do you know what I mean? It took me down a completely path that I didn't expect at the time, because really being brought up in a Christian environment as a Catholic, you're kind of drummed into you as a child to be a little bit anti-Semitic. Do you know what I mean? And you don't really know why, but you grow up kind of, these Jews. Do you know what I mean? And then I started to look into the Torah and things like that to do with Kabbalism, and we would basically be Jewish still if Jesus didn't come along. Do you know what I mean? That was the main. We could just say what changed it. Do you know what I mean? What took us on a different path. So we became from what the Jews would say would be kosher to Gentiles, because they didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah and all of that. So that's how I got into starting to look at Qabalah to see what it really was. Plus, when you go on YouTube, there's a lot of people saying, Qabalah, it's Satanism. It's Satanism, and I'm saying, well, why would the Jewish people be practicing, do you know what I mean, Satanism and no telling anybody about it? I can't see that. Do you know what I mean? And I looked into it, and it's like, there's not really any Satan when you start to look into this. There's just us, and there's angels, and there's, like many people have said, you've got archons. The archons are the watchers. You've got good angels and you've got bad angels. Do you know what I mean? And then that's basically what I'm saying to myself, what's this got to do with the angels and all of this carry on? And then it took me on a crazy path, looking into Kabbalism, and I'm saying, wait a minute here, this is different. Like, say, when they speak about Satan, I said before, the Jewish people would say that Satan is the prosecutor. He's just here basically to prosecute you, to make sure that you're getting sent back here type thing, so you're not getting into heaven. Do you know what I mean? That's what they would say, you're not getting into heaven. Do you know what I mean? But Albert Einstein, he was a mad Kabbalist. He said he really did know his stuff, but when you start to look into the last years of his life, and he basically devoted the last 11 years to his life to Kabbalism, looking at the letters, the numbers, stuff like that. And when he was a bit older, that's when he started to become a little bit more round and profound, as they would say. Do you know what I mean? He said that, this is really interesting, he said everything in the world, everything in the universe, or whatever, is energy, right? So he says that that's basically it. That's all there is. There's just energy. He says, so what you need to do is match the frequency of the reality you want. Right? It basically matches the frequency to the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Do you know what I mean, Ninj? And that's when you start to look into Kabbalism. You are a magician, and you are basically getting kept from you. That's my opinion. It's kind of getting kept from you, but they want to correct you. There's a lot of correction and stuff to do with Kabbalistic, what people would say is the Kabbalistic tree of life. In my opinion, I would call it the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because as you see in the Masonic pillars, there's two pillars. One's black, broken, one's white. So that would signify the good and evil. Plus you've got the middle pillar, what you could say would be the tree of life. So when you're looking at the Kabbalistic tree of life, when you're seeing, like say, it's the 3 lines with all the circles around it, the middle pillar is what you want to keep to. The other 2 pillars, basically, I would say would be the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So a lot of people, like say the Masonic fraternities, they use these trees in their Kabbalistic rituals. Do you know what I mean? That's like say the G, that's a reference to Geburah. What would be severity, judgment, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of harsh when you get up further up the tree. But it's interesting stuff, Nance. It's interesting stuff. Like
I actually just Googled Qabalah and just picked the images because I wanted to scroll through the images to see what appeared. Obviously, they're many and varied, and I've left that page open for the show because I don't do any internet searches while I'm actually on the air because that messes up my connection. So I've got the page already open. So I'm looking at the Tree of Life images amongst many other things. I see what you're saying, to walk the central path rather than deviating to the left or the right, because there is a definite 3 lines there, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, like say, if you would see in one of them, that would be Hod, Chesed in Chokmah. Well, Chokmah wouldn't really come in, it would just be Hod and Chesed, and the other side you would take Netzach and Geburah. So these are your 2 pillars you want to keep away from. You want to kind of stick to Malkuth, Yesod, Tiphereth, and Kepha. But I would like to go into what they actually represent in that, because it's all to do with the representations of these Sephirah. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know what they represent. A lot of people are saying,
let's take the layer.
Like, yeah,
let's take the layer off and see what's down there, because that means nothing to me, those names. So tell me about them. Well,
like say, you would say Kepha, that would be the top. That would be the top triad. That would be the crown, right? That's basically, Kepha means crown, right? And then down for that, you would say Chokmah and Binah. That would be what you could say would be the Holy Father and the Holy Mother. You know what I mean? And they represent, Binah represents understanding, and Chokmah represents wisdom. I'll leave out Daf just now because Daf isn't actually a Sephirah, but it's on the tree. Right, so when you get down a bit, you've got Geburah, as I said, would be severity. It would also represent as Mars. And then you've got Chesod, and that would represent mercy, and that would be Jupiter. And then you've got Tiferet, and that would represent beauty, or the sun. And then further down you would have Hod, what would represent as splendour, and Mercury. And then you've got Netzach, which represents victory and Venus. And then you've got Yesod, which represents foundation. It also represents what you could say would be the foundation, as in basically the cubical stone. They say that God took a piece in the beginning, you know what I mean? Well, this has gone back to Genesis. In the beginning, what the Qabalah says, God took a piece, a rock, a stone, basically a cube from under his chair and flung it into the abyss. And that's what the Big Bang represents, and that represents foundation, which would be Yesod on the Kabbalistic tree of life. And that would also represent the moon. But it's also a bit of a thing gone down there to do with Malkuth. Because Malkuth and Yesod they're kind of how can I put it? They're kind of the same thing, if you know what I mean, Ninj, but they're not on the tree. It's kind of complicated to get into some of this, really is. But as I say, I'm going to try and explain the best I can. And then you've got Malkuth at the very bottom of the tree, which actually isn't represented as a triad. As you can see, when you're looking at that Kabbalistic tree, then you would see them as triads. You've got the top triad, which would be Kefer, Bina, Chokma, and then you would take the second triad, which would be Gebura, Chesod, and Tipperet, and then you've got Hod, Netzach, and Yesod. That would be the third triad. And the third triad would represent, these triads represent, you could see the body of Adam Kadmon or the body of God. But it's basically, there's more to it, because it also represents, like say, the bottom triad would represent Zeranpin, which means basically the face of God. So we've got the face of God, so it would represent us as well. Do you know what I mean? That's to do with the triad. And right at the very bottom you've got Malkuth, and that's where we are, that's kingdom, earth. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at that. Yeah, I can see those. They're grouped in threes. Yeah, there's the top three, the middle three, the bottom three, but then there's two below that. Yeah,
as you see, well, they're not really. If you look at it, then you see Hod, Netzach, and Yesod. That makes a triad, and there's just really one at the bottom of that, and that was Malkuth. But it depends on what Kabbalistic tree you're looking at.
If you turn that whole thing upside down, of course the triad's still there, but they're upside down. I'm just suddenly want to turn the whole thing upside down, and it looks the same both ways. Of course, it isn't. But
well, that's what the above is below is kind of as well, Ninja, because eventually, through correction and all this, a lot is to do with correction, to do with our egos. This is what the Kabbalists will tell you. Big egos, people have got big egos. You need to correct your ego, because when gods shouldn't really have egos or want to judge people. Do you know what I mean by that? And then you go about judging people, then you shall be judged. Do you know? And that was, when you look into it, all of this comes from Solomon and Moses. But Moses was given the Qabalah, so they say. He was given, like, say, the indexes for it. But going back, it's Solomonic. It's all to do with Solomon. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at what Solomon, who Solomon was. And Solomon, basically, he was just a wizard, but a mad magician. But in the process of studying this, in these Sephira, I don't know what they are, if they're gods or demons or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? I'm not practicing the magic, Ninja, because it is magical, and you're meant to meditate on the letters and stuff like that. And I don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to basically bring anything into my existence what I don't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not too sure of this Qabalah stuff.
So you're just studying the technical information, if you like, the history and the details, but you're not practicing.
I'm not practicing it. No, I'm not practicing it.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing. If I have to practice, when you're going to practice in it, it's really quite Jewish. It's like the Torah. Constantly reading the Torah. You're constantly reading the Torah for hidden allegories. Do you know what I mean? Hidden meaning, stuff like that, which is going to help you correct yourself. Do you know what I mean? But apart from correcting yourself, it's like, you read it, and I don't even read these rabbis' name. I call them Iceberg Gold fucking something. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all the same names. And it's like Rabbi such and such and Rabbi such and such and Rabbi such, and it's like, fucking hell. But you'll read what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? And then it all still comes a wee bit down to them saying, oh, you need to be reading the Torah. You know what I mean? You need to be studying the Torah to be a true Kabbalist. Do you know what I mean with that? And I'm not really into that, Ninja. I'm into studying I'm into reading other religions, because there's a little bit of this in all of the religions, because all of these religions came from Abraham. Do you know what I mean? And Kaaba, cube, as I was speaking about, it all refers to cubes. Do you know what I mean? It's like circles and squares, circles and squares, circles and squares, geometry, sacred geometry. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that, and it's quite, it can be quite mathematical as well.
Well, that's another subject. That's another subject I've struggled with my whole life, maths. It don't compute, literally don't compute. So that's something else I realised I don't need. If I get it,
numbers,
I don't
like
need
double
it.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Like double Dutch, man. Yeah. It's like, but as I said, there's a lot of, when you start to look into the 10 Sephira and all of that, or the 11, the Kabbalah, there's a lot of Kabbalists in physics, like Albert Einstein and that. You start to look like Oppenheimer. There's Oppenheimer. He was a Jewish Kabbalist as well. He helped make the bomb. Do you know what I mean? And it's some of them made kind of nasty stuff. Some of them are very nice when you look at some of the. But it's like, where are they getting some of this information from? Some of them say they're getting it through the Sephira, higher beings. It's like by Pythagoras says, what was it? You need to think like the serpents. Do you know what I mean? It's like, who are the serpents? Referring back to the Sephira. Do you know what I mean, then? So it's like, this is how I'm not wanting to imprint anybody here. Cause I'm telling people, look at it logically, the way I'm looking at it. Try and be biased. No, but no so much back. Try and be like impartial in your judgment, then. You know what I mean? Try and take a step back and be like, yeah, I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to believe. I'm not going to entertain it. I'm just going to.
Yeah, so you're just a researcher. You're not. Yeah. Mm. And you mentioned, as you were describing some of the meanings of the names that are in Hebrew, you mentioned some of the planets, Sun, Jupiter, and so on. So obviously there's that connection, that layer is also in this. And I can see in this list of images that came up for Qabalah is an image of the solar system amongst many others. So.
Yeah, it really is. If you want, I've got all the letters here. I'll go over the Hebrew letters because really, as I said, the Phoenician Hebrew, Aramaic alphabets, the Semitic alphabets, they're all very magical. When you look at Hermetic, Rosicrucian, Amrock, you go and look at any of these funny orders. Go and look at any one of these funny orders out there, Hermetic, Golden Dawn, practicing serious magic and that. They're all using Hebrew. They're all using a Hebrew script. And it's like, oh, I see that. I see everywhere you go. You see it. And then people talk about the Illuminati. It's like, that's a spin word for an organisation that hasn't got a name. You want to kind of really go and try to figure out who the Illuminati are. My suspicions they're the Martinist order. They even made a movie. They made The Nine Gates, Johnny Depp.
Which order? Say that again. Which order?
The Martinist order. Have you never heard of the Martinist order?
I've never even heard of that.
Well, everybody start to look up the Martinist order because, in my opinion, that is your real Illuminati. The Martinist order. Yeah, the Martinist order started up in France by a man called Saint de Martin. Johnny Depp did a movie about it called The Nine Gates, but he never really went into too much yet.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, you see, this is getting interesting, very, very interesting, because when we start to spin it off and reveal the threads and the extra links, and the part you just made my ears prick up even more when you just said, Paul, the group that has no name.
Yeah.
I believe you just said in part of a sentence there. Again, here we go back to them not having a name. Mm.
That's what I mean.
Why are we?
Call them the Illuminati. It's like, who the fuck are the Illuminati? They don't exist. If you look at the order, White Hawk created the order and basically it kind of faded away after a couple of years. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but they're certainly not getting called the Illuminati anymore. Do you know what I mean? But looking at that stuff again, then, what are they practicing? They're practicing Kabbalistic magic. Do you know what I mean? All to do with it's what the Kabbalists would call a Sefer, Sapper, and Sipper. I've explained that before. They see the world was created through the word, the number, and the oral word, Sipper, spoken word. We've got that gift. We have the gift. It's like people, when they speak, the angels coming to them. These angels, do they speak? It always seems to be telepathic communication, same with aliens, telepathic communications. There never seems to be any, what you would say is proper oral communication there. Do you know what I mean, then? So it makes you think, especially what's going on with this. But
they're not communicating in voice. They're communicating in the mind to mind.
Yeah.
The angels. So far, we haven't heard. Is that what you're saying? We haven't heard any representations, any stories.
People who have basically angels, demons, aliens, any whatever. Do you know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, that's all to do with how you've been imprinted. Like, say, people who are very religious would see angels and demons. People who are not so religious would probably see aliens. Do you know what I mean? Then that's basically my opinion on it. Like, but when you start to look into that again, it's like, who are they? They're the watchers. It's like I watched years ago, like a documentary, Angels, Aliens and Demons or something like that. And man said, well, basically, There's no real... Years ago we would say that aliens came from Mars, right? Or they were coming from Mars. And then we got a wee bit more intellectual and because of science and that. And then we say, no, they're coming through reticular B. Do you know what I'm saying then? But now it's, no, they're coming through other dimensions. These are dimensional beings. And then when you start to look into, like, say, the Kabbalistic stuff to do with dimensional stuff, because, as I said, when you start to study Kabbalism, you will start to study everything that's out there, because it's all tied up into this. Do you know what I mean? This is how I really got into it, because I was shocked by the amount of things that were tied up into this, through astrology and the basically sacred geometry, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Would you describe the Qabalah then as... I'm trying to piece together the threads here because this is new information for me. As a what?
A box.
A box. Okay. I want to use the word smoke and mirrors because what you've been saying, it keeps ringing that. Oh yeah, there's lots of hidden, obviously, you know. And if this is used as a kind of foundation thread to spin off all the smoke and mirrors that are supposedly separate entities all going about doing different things. Is it like that? But it isn't really. This is a core.
What's kind of saying, right, we like to say the Sephira is, it's saying that in the process, basically, Malkuth is being corrupted. She's been corrupted, so she's been sent away for God to be correct. She needs to go away and correct herself. You could say it's like, how could I put it? God's not happy with his children. He's not happy with his children, so he's taking it out on his wife. Do you know what I mean? That I would say Hawkma's not happy with Binna, so he's taking everything out on Binna. Do you know what I mean? Saying, look at you, look at these kids, man, they're running about doing this and that, and you're not stopping it. Do you know what I mean, then? He's not too happy with it, freaking out in that.
So this culminates in someone kicking the cat, really, then, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Exactly.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. Somebody's kicking the cat at the end of all this. So let's just make sure we're not the cat, okay?
Well, it kind of is. We're not really the cat. We're the cat's kittens, you could say. You know what I mean? We're the cat's kittens, but that's how I was basically looking at it, man. We're her children. Do you know what I mean? She's not happy with her. Do you know what I mean? And so basically, through us, we correct her. We'll correct, like, say, the Shekinah, and through the Shekinah correcting herself, she'll manage to basically, everything, it's like they say, you know, Bill Donahue will talk about, like, say, the bride, and they speak about the bride, and then heaven will come to earth. Well, that's really referring to Shekinah. Shekinah's a bride. She's got to marry God eventually. She's not got to marry, like, say, a Chokman Bana. She's got to marry the Ein Sof, the Kefir. Do you know, at the highest point, it'll come down, and then it'll be that's the allegory, really. That is all female, male kind of stuff. And then, do you know what I mean? It's the representation of that, because the way I look at it is every man in this world's got nipples, and you start to look at babies when they're in the mummy's tummy, you know, we're all female, we all start off female. Do you know what I mean? And that's science now. Anybody can go and look that up. Do you know what I mean? We all start off, that's how man has nipples. Others, as I heard today from Savannah, he called them others.
Others. Yeah. Empty ones, but nonetheless others, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I'll go to the letters if you want. Yeah, I've got the letters here for you, Ninja, if you want a name, like.
Please do. Yeah, I want to know everything, because I told you before we came on the air earlier this evening. You know anyway, I've spoken to you before. I'm very ignorant on many things. So, you know, for the purposes of my own ignorance, and I'm sure there are plenty of listeners here who know all this already, because we've got such a wonderful table who are very well informed, but I'm not, so let's have it. Yeah. Yeah,
well, I'll start with it. You'll have, the first letter will be Aleph, which is silent. It's got no sound. Unless, like, say, you add a vowel to it, that would be like, say, a shuruk or a colon or a comet. That's for the Jewish, what you could say, vowels to go with the letters. So you've got the Aleph, right? That's silent. So that would be the numerical value of 1. That would be the Greek alpha, and that would be obviously our letter A. Now, you know what I mean? And that represents basically a pure magical book, as I spoke about, called the Sefer Yetzirah. And that would also, she would represent basically the three mothers. She would represent the first of the three mothers. In a tarot sense, that would be the Fool. She also represents air because, as I say, she's the first Aleph air. So she would represent air. She would also represent the equinoxes, Ninja. Do you know what I mean? The winter and summer equinox.
Yeah, I've got my mic muted just to let you know.
That's cool, Ninja. That's cool.
Because I'm making a few notes and I don't want to make any noise. But carry on, please. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the second letter, and that would be the Bet. And this is where the word alphabet actually was derived from. Anybody can look this up. It is a Hebrew word, and that would be the Aleph and the Bet. And that would mean basically all in its house. So Bet means house, right? That would be the English B. It would be the Greek Beta. With a Dagesh vowel, it would be a Vet. So you would change the B to a V with a Dagesh. And that would have the numerical value of 2. And that would be Magus. Magus would represent Saturn. And in a tarot sense, it would represent the Magician. And then you have the third letter, that would be Gimel. That would be the Greek Gamma, the English G. That would be the numerical value of 3. It represents, like you could say, a camel. That would be the Latin C, and it represents the High Priestess in Jupiter. Right. Next letter you have Dalet, which is an interesting letter actually. You have the letter the Dalet, which is it's a D in English, obviously. Numerical value 4. It's the Greek delta means door, and it's the Empress. But this is one I'm not too sure on. They say it represents Mars, but I'm not too sure about it representing Mars. Not 100% on that, like, because I would say basically a Zion would probably represent Mars, but it represents something else. You have the fifth, which would be the He. Everybody knows what the He is. That would be the Yod He Vahe. Again, 2 He's, two. It's a female. It's a female letter, but it's actually quite a strange one, to be honest, because the He is a female letter, but it also represents the 3 father letters, which would be the Yod, the He, and the Vav, and the Yod He Vav He, which is kind of strange because it's a female yet male. Do you know what I mean? That would have a numerical value of 5. That's the English Latin H, and it's Paleo Hebrew Greek. It's the Greek epsilon, and it signifies a female word, as I say. It's the Emperor, as I say. It's also male, so it's Emperor in the tarot card, and it also represents Aries. So this is where it's a mother, yet it's also male. It represents one of the 3 fathers, as I said. And then you have the next letter, Vav, which has a numerical value of 6. A Vav could be a V or a W. It means a nail or a hook. So basically you could say a Vav is a hook to hold something. So in the Yod He, Vav He, you would say that the Vav is holding the last He, so that would represent the Shekinah, because it would say that Vav is propping her up. He's propping her up, or basically, look at this, he's helping correct the Shekinah, as they would say. That would be the Greek Vav. Yeah, that would be the Greek Upsilon. Wait a minute. Constant. With a hole on vowel, that would be a Vav, a Vavi or something, a Vavi. Sometimes without a Shuruk, it makes an O. It's kind of O. Then that represents the Hierophant in the tarot card, and it also represents Taurus. And then the 7th letter, that would be the Zion. Has a numerical value of 7. It means sword or plough. It's the Greek Zeta. Right, but this is where it kind of means other things, because it could also represent, a Zion could also represent like a penis, and you know what I mean, the male phallus. And with the tarot cards, it would represent as the lovers, which is quite interesting, because a scabbard, if people know what a scabbard is, when the lovers are joined, that would be the Zion in its place. Do you know what I mean? That's a sexual kind of thing. As I say, you look at some of this Kabbalistic stuff and some of the Gnostic teachings with Samuel Amois, who Fire Phoenix on Facebook, feels just firing it out, like beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And that would have that would be the lovers, as I say, is to do with the tarot.
You mean the scabbard is the sheath for the sword? So when the sword is in its sheath, it's like the sexual union of the male and the female.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
That's with that. You know what I mean? Now that's with a kind of representation of that.
Mhm.
And that would also represent Gemini, which is quite interesting as well. And then you have the 8. The 8th letter. That would be the hate, or the shet. It's pronounced CHET. That would be a numerical value of 8. That would be the Greek hater. It basically means, Paleo Hebrew, it would mean ladder or fence. Basically means ladder, because the hate would represent Jacob's ladder. It also would be our H, Latin English H. Do you know what I'm saying? It represents the chariot in the tarot cards, and would be Cancer, the kind of sign for Cancer. Next on that, you would have the letter Tet. That has a numerical value in 9. That's it. In Paleo Hebrew, it's a T. You know, it could mean, in Paleo Hebrew, it could mean a basket or an ear. But it looks like an ear. So basically, what they would say is, right, it's 9. So basically, that's the 9th thing with truth. Truth is in balance. Truth is in balance, they say. Balance comes from the ears. Scientists found out that all your balance is coming from the ears. So when people have ear infections, they're kind of wobbly. That's because your balance is in the ears. But yet, through this letter, the Hebrews knew thousands of years ago that your balance was basically, it was in your ears. Do you know what I mean? That would mean either basket or could mean, that would be the Greek feta. In Old English, it would be the feta, or F-E-T-A in Old English. But in Old English, it looks like a D with a T through it. Old English is really, really similar to Hebrew. So I've been reading from a lot of people on the Zohar site on Facebook. Next you would have, that would be the 10th letter. That would be the Yod. The Yod has a numerical value of 10. A numerical value of 10. That became the English I or Jai. It means hand. It's the Greek iota. It's also the hermit or Virgo. That would be in the tarot and the astrology signs. It would also be the English Y, you could say. It would be your Y as well. Y-I Jai. Do you know what I mean? Next you take the letter Kaf. Let me see here. There's final forms to a lot of letters. That means, like, say, you would lose them, use at the end, so, like, say, a final mem. They look different to, like, say, if it was a starting Kaf. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you were starting a word off with the letter Kaf, it would look different to a final Kaf. A final Kaf's it's longer. When you look at the final letters to do with Hebrew, some of them are kind of long. Let me see. That would be the English K. It makes a sound sh. It would be numerical value of that would be 20. So they start to go up now. It means a palm of a hand, like an open hand, right? It's the Greek cap. It's the Latin English K as well. You know what I'm saying? It represents in the tarot as the Wheel of Fortune and basically the sun, or the soul or sun. Do you know what I'm saying? Then next you have 12. That would be the Lamed. Numerical value is 30. That would be. It means a shepherd's crook. It also means a hyperbolic spiral. if people start to look into hyperbolic spirals, that would be the eye of Horus. That's a hyperbolic, representing as a hyperbolic spiral or a reciprocal spiral. When you look at even in your fingerprints, everything's circular, Ninja. Do you know what I mean? When you look at your fingerprints, everything goes in a spiral. That's kind of what it's saying when you see nebulas. When you start to look at stuff, it's spirals. And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I noticed that many years ago. Absolutely everything is a spiral. At some point, even, a leaf or a blade, everything unfolds in a spiral form.
Yeah, circles or squares, Ninja. All comes down to circles and squares.
But the squares, that's the unnatural element. That's the man-made element, isn't it? Yeah. Because in nature, it is only the spiral or, other wavy lines of sorts. Well,
Abraham basically said if you had to cut our legs and arms off, we would be square. Square body, round head. That's how he says you would have to seal your... When he prayed, he talked about sealing his cubicle space. And what he did, it was like a kind of meditative, a strange... You see when you see people stretching, Ninja, and they'll put their legs between their heads. But you're doing a bit of stretch. That's how Abraham basically prayed. He says circumcise the tongue and the membrane. So he basically would put his mouth next to his crotch. You know what I mean? Like it would look like he would be sucking on his own phallus. But that's kind of strange.
Okay, that takes some practice, no doubt.
Yeah.
Leaving that for the gymnasts out there. Back to cats again, they know how to do that.
Amazing. Right, I'll go on with this, Ninja. Lament, right, where was I? That would be the Greek lambda. That would be the English L. As I say, it means a shepherd's crook, basically a reciprocal spiral. It would represent in the tarot card as fortitude, and it would be Libra. That would be Libra. Right, and then next we have the letter Mem. And the letter Mem is what you would basically, that's 13. That'd be your 13th letter, then. You would see Mary. A lot of people have probably seen a lot of images of Mary standing on the earth with 12 circles above her head. Well, that's representing the 13th letter of Mem. She is the mother of Euphukis, Jesus, the Messiah, as they would call him, but the Messiahs, I'll get into that later, because the Messiah actually is a force. It's not a man or a person, it's a force. So when what's happening at this table is Messiah-like, it's the force. It's a force of people coming together for truth and standing in it and saying, yeah, it's time to get this shit unravelled. And, anyway, Mem. That would be the numerical value of 40. You've got a final Mem orb.
I want you to come back later to the Messiah that you just raised.
I'll back to that.
Come back to that. We'll talk about that. Okay.
Yeah. Then you have the letter Mem, right? That would be the numerical value of 40, right? So she would be the Paleo-Greek Mu, or Latin name. Right? She means water. She is water. Mayim. She would represent in a tarot card as the Hanged Man. She would be winter or cold state. She's one of the three mothers. The first mother, as I said, Aleph, she would represent the equinox. So the third mother, Mem, she represents winter or cold state. Right, that's the Mem. As I say, numerical value 40. Then you have Nun. Right, the Nun would be, let me see. The Nun would be it's got a numerical value of 50, as I said. That would be death as a tarot card, and it would also be Scorpio. So Scorpio's death, by the way. People out there who are born in Scorpio, sorry to tell you. Well, that's if you want to look at it through Kabbalism. But that would be the Greek. I've actually not even written that down. It's English yen anyway, but I've not even written that. The Greek one, sorry about that. I've not even put the Greek ones in, sorry. Anyway, 15, that would be the Samech. And the Samech, it means rib. Or basically support or a rib cage. That would be the Greek Psi. But also represents you could say Samuel, the devil, Samech. That's like say that would be represent that, because that's the first letter of his name, Samech, Samuel. Right, that would represent Temperance and Sagittarius. Right, next we've got an iron, the iron or the eye. It's the most difficult letter to say, to be perfectly honest, is what the Hebrews say, because it's not really got a sound. But it became the Greek, is it Omicron? Omicron, yeah, it was Greek Omicron. That would represent, let me see, death. Let me see, that would represent the devil in a tarot card in Capricorn. That's basically, it represents an eye. The eye on it's an eye, an open eye. Then you have the 17th letter, and that would be Pe. And that makes it's a PH and an F sound. That also has a final form, a final Pe. It makes an F. It's an F or a F. You know what I mean? It's got a numerical value of 80. It means a small mouth. That's what they say it means. It means a small mouth. It's the Greek Phi, Latin P. It represents, in a tarot sense, that would be the tower, and it would also represent Venus. And then you have the 18th, that would be a Tasadi, or a Sadi. Sounding a bit like, how can I say it? It sounds a bit like when you say pizza. You know, say pizza, that's Tasadi, you get the Z. You'd use the Z even though it's not got a Z in it, Tasadi. Do you know what I'm saying? It's spelled T-S-A-D-I. But you would kind of use, like, say, a ziz, like you would say in pizza. That's got
so
a numerical...
like the word Tsar, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Okay, T-S-A-R is Tsar, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But it isn't a Z. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, man. That would... this is... It's a kind of... That would represent, basically... This is when it kind of gets a bit interesting. It would represent either a hunter, because it kind of looks like a man leaning down, or it would represent a righteous man praying. That's what they say it could represent. You know what I mean? It's the Greek PSI. So is that Psi? Greek Psi. Yeah. It basically means righteous one. That's what they could say. It means righteous one. Or you could say, see the way the Muslims would, the Muslims pray. It's kind of like that. That's what it would look like. And basically, the way the Muslims pray, if you want to look at it, that's kind of an Abrahamic way of praying. Except, as I say, Abraham stood up, but they sit down and it's the same thing. They're sharing their cubicle space. But you go and say that to a Muslim and they wouldn't be too chuffed. But anyway, that's the now. But there's a few out there starting to learn this stuff and they're saying, yeah. Anyway, next letter. One minute, did I tell you that's got a numerical value of 90, the Tasadi. Right, the next letter would be the Kof, or Kuf. Spelled Q-O-F or Q-U-F. That's got a numerical value of 100. That would be the Latin... is it Paleo? It looks a bit like Saturn, you could say, like a circle with a line through it. You know what I mean? It means monkey, could mean monkey, or back of the head. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of looks kind of strange. If you look at it as in its Greek form, do you know what I mean? That's what they say it would look like the back of your head. It's a setting sun. You could say a setting sun, which looks kind of apt. It represents basically Saturn. Cupid represents Saturn, but it doesn't represent Saturn as I'll tell you, as you'll find out now. It represents Saturn, but it doesn't. It's or a spectrum. It's a separation, like you could say splitting a circle, stuff like that. It represents the moon in Pisces. But when you look at it in its Greek form, it looks like Saturn. Do you know what I'm saying? It looks like Saturn. And then you have the 20th letter, and that would be the Resh, the Latin R, you know what I mean, English R. That rolls, like say, when I would, if you hear me say, alright, roller R's, Scottish, Irish kind of roller R's. Do you know what I mean? Some people in, you could say, the real North England, like say Newcastle, Sunderland, places like that, they still roll their R's, like. And then that would be, that's got a numerical value of 200. That would be the Greek rho. You just know what that means. And would represent the Sun and Mercury. But when you look at the paleo, when you look at some of the Greek, you know, the P and the R, when you put, like, say, you could say a Q and an R together, that would represent a womb. It kind of looks like a womb kind of a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got, like, the last two letters. This is the most important one of them all, man. Is the 21st letter. Now, she would represent Shekinah in judgment. That's where we are. We're Shekinah in judgment. That would be the letter Shin. It looks like a W. That's the only way I could describe it. It looks like a W. Now, the letter Shin represents a numerical value of 300. It's the Paleo Greek Sigma. The Greek Sigma. It's meaning. It also represents, you could say, Toph. You know, Toph's got something to do with the Shekinah as well. That would be the English in Latin S. It's the Greek Sigma, as I said. It would represent judgment, and it also represents, as I said, with the three mothers. Aleph representing the equinox, Mem representing cold or winter. She represents fire in summer. That would be basically, that's the Shin. When people know, I don't know if you know, everybody knows it in fact, when, what's the name it? In fact, I'll get back to that and I'll finish the last one off. And then you've got 22, that would be Tav. That's got a numerical value of 400. That would be the Greek cow. That would be, you could say, that would be like a T. Is that your T? Latin English T, TH T. You know what I'm saying? That would represent, in a tarot sense, that would represent the world. Basically, represents the moon as well. But as I say, Shekinah, she's judgment. She's judgment. It's like a lot of the Jews, they put the letter Shin on their doors. They say, wards off evil spirits and that, but that's got to do with Passover. You know the story, people have done their research into the biblical history. They'll know the story of Passover, and basically that was the letter they drew on the doors for Passover with the blood of the lamb. They drew the letter Shin on the door, basically, so they wouldn't be killed. And that was basically when you go back to Moses and Pharaoh. And there, that would be your 22 letters, Ninch. That's your 22 letters.
Oh, wow. Thanks for that. I'm going to be doing a little bit of study on this after the show, of course, perhaps tomorrow, when I've got a chance to look over these things. Because you actually shared with me a few weeks ago, didn't you, Paul, some PDF, not PDF, what am I talking about? JPEG images.
Yeah, it was a couple of pictures.
Yeah. And so I want to listen to the show while I also look at those, because I want to get a bigger picture in my mind. It's very difficult for me when I'm only listening. I have got this page of Google Images open, but I can't open each one individually, so I'm just scrolling. But this is for the archives, as always. Everything we do is preserved, and we're very fortunate, to know that we can revisit all this at any time, and for those who can't listen live as well. So, yeah. I wanted, if there was nothing else you needed to go back to, I want you to go back and raise
you were talking about the
subject
Messiah
again about Messiah. I really was fascinated with what you said. Can you tell us a bit more about that and how that ties in with what we're doing now?
Well, what the Jews, what the rabbis say is, a Messiah. There's a Messiah. There's thousands of Messiahs born every day, but what happens is they don't achieve their full potential. So it's what they say is it's a force. It's a force given to man from the Ein Sof or God or whatever you want to call him. Do you know what I mean? Given to man. So basically, we can become the Adam Cadmans once again, do you know what I mean, and rise back up the tree of life, that is. Not the tree, when you look, as I was saying earlier, when you look at the tree, that's the tree, knowledge of good and evil. As I say, one pillar's black. Look at the Masonic pillars. This is what they represent. Joachim and Boaz represent the tree knowledge, good and evil. One's bad and one's good. That's what that really represents. Do you know what I mean? The Masons, as far as I'm concerned, are quite really scummy men, because they don't keep to the middle path. They go up the tree like a snake, like a serpent, because they say that's how Shekinah goes up the snake. Shekinah goes she goes up the middle path like a serpent. She doesn't go touching Hod and Natzak and all of these other things. You keep away from them. Do you know what I mean? And really, any Kabbalist will tell you, try and keep away from the two pillars. Keep to the middle pillar, which is the tree of life, and you'll eventually arrive at Daf. And Daf is knowledge. It's given knowledge. It's downloads. People are getting downloads when you're sleeping or listening to Kate's shows or other people's stuff. You get downloads, and that's basically, it's given to you from a higher force, but it's meant to be given to you because that's your inheritance, your rightful, it's your rightful thing to have. Do you know what I mean? That's it, pure and simple.
So every one of us born has the potential to be what is called the Messiah, and actually all of us are the Messiah, regardless if we reach full potential or not. And what did you say about coming together as a gathering, as a collective energy? That's the Messiah also. That's
the thing. They said that a lot of this stuff was to come out at a certain time. It's like, when you start to look into, why did the Romans go changing the calendar? Because really, when they talk about 6,000 years and all this is to do with 6,000 years of correction. Shekinah was given 6,000 years of correction. So when you look at Jewish stuff, you see 6 pops up quite a bit. You know, we've been kicked out of every country. We're left to wander the world. No, they're actually, what they're actually doing is they're doing what Shekinah does. They're doing what the divine Shekinah does, because she wanders there. She's got no home. She's been kicked out of her home. So all that's representing the Shekinah. And as we are her children, we are the Messiahs. We are the divine forces. Do you know what I'm saying? And when people are coming to the tables like this, and they're coming on and they're sharing their findings. Like, I didn't want to come on and share my findings. Do you know what I mean? But I spoke to Kate, and Kate says, you need to come on and explain this stuff. So I stand in my truth, and I've come on and I've explained what I've been researching and looking at. Whether people want to look into it or not, it's each to their own. It's your road. But looking at this, it's all very hermetic as well. Do you know what I mean? Look at
I want to say something with what you were just saying about Shekinah wandering, and that how the Jewish people, or whatever they call themselves, claim to have been thrown out of every country and every nation over the years, and they've wandered around the earth. And you said Shekinah does this, and that is suddenly made me think of something that I brought up. I don't even know which night it was. I'm not on very often, so probably the last time I was on the air on this platform, about people who, you know, we understand about claiming the name, that we really ought not to do that anymore because that's not ours, it's not us, etc. But people are still busy claiming nationalities, and I brought that up, and you've just sparked that in my mind again. We're going into the next level of allegory here. Mm-hmm. When Shekinah is walking the earth with no home, no nation, the earth is home. Yeah. You know, and we're all, the Jews were kicked out of all these nations. Well, that's a clue, isn't it? Come on, you know, where are all these clues? They're everywhere.
Ken, in Revelations they call her a whore. She's the whore of Babylon because she sits in many waters. She sits on many waters. In short words, she's not got a home. She's everywhere at once type thing. This is her home, so she sits in many waters. The seven
and we
seas.
Must be everywhere. We must be everywhere and nowhere, because to define somewhere is to put a label on it. And these nationalities, these countries, we understand the fake borders that some, you know, corrupt mind has decided to divide and conquer us and label us and possess us and control us through this. So when we say, no, we're not going to be a name, we don't want to be in fraud, we don't want to have labels applied to us called name, but hang on, yeah, I'm an American. No, we need to stop that. And this is a clue, another clue. This is ancient. These clues are everywhere. Stop with the borders and stop with claiming nationality. How many people have
Mali? We're one people. We're one people.
Yeah.
That's just something God's done to see if you're going to react to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To see if you're going to get polarised with that. Oh, I'm not going to speak to that person. He's a different colour to me. I'm not going to speak to him. He's a different religion to me. That's exactly what it is. Now, when you start to see through these paradigms, you see them for what they are, and it's just to divide you and keep us divided and not realising that we are one people. We're all brothers and sisters. As far as I'm concerned, we all sit down to take a shite. You know what I mean? We all sit down to take a shite, and you know what I mean?
And the thing is, we must always bear in mind, because we do forget, it's very hard breaking the programming, it's very hard breaking the conditioning, that we don't remember when we were born. We don't know where we were. That's hearsay. I mean, you may say, well, my mother wouldn't lie to me, but actually she probably would. She probably lied to you about a lot of things in your life. If you even only ask, about the tooth fairy and Santa, there's already a clue. So we can't assume that we know anything about where we landed on this planet,
Yeah. The only thing we should be really sure is that we are special. We're more special than what a lot of people who are down here, these kings and queens and these presidents and all these other people would like to. Well, in fact, they wouldn't like us to really know this. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there don't want you knowing that you're better than the angels. See all these angels in the ark? You're better than them. We are better than them, eh? And that's what pissed the angels off. That's how you had the falling out in heaven with the angels. It was because after we were made, we were something special, eh? And do you know what I'm saying? And basically, I don't know what happened with that. Some say Adam Cadman came down the tree to experience for knowledge, for God. He says, right, I'll go down the tree because I'm daft. I'll come down the tree and I'll experience because God can't experience anything. Do you know what I mean? So what he does is, you could say he would be experiencing through us, or she's experiencing it, because it's a force. Like I says about Albert Einstein said, it's energy. It's like, how could I put it? It's like your soul. Your soul's like a cup. You could say you've been given a cup. It's like go to the sea ninja and take a cup of water out of the sea and walk about all day with this cup of water and say, yeah, this is my sea. I got this for the sea. And then go back to the sea and pour that cup into the sea. You can't point to any bit of the sea and say, oh, that's my bit of sea that was in my cup.
No, you can't, can you? You can try, but that ain't going to work.
Exactly. That's what we are. That's what we are. But because of what's happened, though, God doesn't want us going back to the source, because he says we're corrupted, we're dirty water. He doesn't want, he's wanting clean water, beautiful droplets. He's wanting God, you know what I'm saying, to come back to his pool. So Shekinah, if you really want to, as far as I'm concerned, the most important book you'll get in the Bible would be the Book of Ruth. And the Masons will tell you, right, and Kabbalists will tell you, you want to read the most important book in the Bible, read Ruth. It's not very big. It represents the Shekinah, and Binah represents the two mothers. Binah would be Naomi, and Shekinah would be Ruth. It talks, she gathers corn heads, you know what I mean? She's gathering light. The allegories behind the story of Ruth is all to do with Shekinah, and she gets given, I think it's six heads of corn or something like that. 6 measures. She's given 6 measures of corn. That's representing the 6,000 years of correction that's been given once again. But they say the correction will come any time soon, and this is the time of correction now. This is what the Kabbalists say, because it was only given 6,000 years. We're living in the Jewish calendar now would be 5779. So we're a couple of hundred years off.
Yes. You're taking us back to that. Okay, yeah. There's several calendars in operation. I was indoctrinated under one calendar. some groups live and grow up with another, as you just said. And that came out a few months ago in one of the shows, didn't it? About the Julian calendar. I take no notice of them. You know what I wrote about them. Stop looking at them. There's this. What's it called? Oh, help me. Anno Domini and Anno Mundi.
Anno Mundi.
Yeah?
Anno Mundi.
Yeah. So the Jewish one is Anno Mundi, and that's the one that's at 577, whatever it is at the moment.
79.
Okay.
779.
Okay. Yeah. We've got a bit of an echo. I don't know if that's suddenly just heard a bit of an echo. Can you hear it, or is it only me?
No, I've turned down my sound a bit.
Okay.
You still there now?
Still here. I'm here, but I'm hearing myself back again.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, somebody have you got a headset, or have you got speakers on you?
No, I'm using an iPad now, so I've not got any headset yet.
Oh, but that's stopped now, whatever you've just done. That's okay again. Somebody in the Skype room, Chris, said we're apparently in year 5774 at the moment.
Oh, is it 7? Well,
yeah.
It's a next couple
knows?
of years, mate.
Yeah, who knows? Thanks for that, Chris, yeah. Oh, I've got that echo again. But, okay, we'll carry on, echoes and all. So the recommended reading for allegories and for clues into who was it you said? Book of Ruth, and who you said you should read that?
There's a couple of books if you want to go and read a Bible, read your Bible and read the Book of Ruth. That's your Old Testament. Old Testament, the Book of Ruth. It's really, really deep. But the Masons say it's one of the most important scriptures. They say there is. But they've got a few scriptures they say are kind of important. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's all allegories anyway. That's all we're after. We're after clues, allegories, and something that resonates as truth. Yeah. And the rest is just information, isn't it? So it's whatever you get from it. Yeah. It's like, actually, honestly, it's like that for me. Most of the time, it's like that for me. I'm hearing people, but I don't actually hear them. So when that happens, I know it's not for me. But it doesn't happen that often because I don't actually listen to that much anymore. But that started happening, and I thought it was a very strange thing. And I wondered why it was going on, because it wasn't always the case. And that started to happen, and I sort of reasoned with myself and said, well, if you can't hear them when you can hear them, then they're not saying anything you need to hear.
Exactly.
You have to simplify these things because they're very personal to yourself, aren't they? You know, we all have these individual experiences, and I'm not saying nobody else has it, but we're having it, so it's ours. Whenever that moment is, we're having it. And we have to answer it for ourselves. I mean, you can ask other people all day long, what do you think, what do you think, what do you think? But the only one who really has an answer for you is yourself, because they're just giving an opinion, aren't they? You've got to give yourself the answer.
If it doesn't resonate with you, well, do you know what I mean? If it doesn't resonate, well, fuck it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you, and I'm fascinated because while I'm listening to you, I'm getting allegories, I'm getting word breakdowns. I'm not interrupting you with them, but they're there, and I'm spinning them around. You see, so I'm not necessarily taking in everything I'm hearing from you, but it's giving my mind my own little way to process it, and that's what the beauty of this is, isn't it? Yeah. Sharing information, sharing knowledge that we individually process to get our own little bit of truth or a little nugget out of it that will take us somewhere else.
Information that could be detrimental to us, Ninja, which could really, really help us in what's going on just now. Do you know what I'm saying? Because as far as I'm concerned, I've looked at a lot of this, Ninja, and it always comes back to funny orders or funny rich people doing funny Masonic, fucking Kabbalistic magic. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the Skull and Bones Society. Where did the Skull and Bones came up? The Skull and Bones came up in to do with King Solomon when they were building the temple. When Solomon was building his temple, like the 33 allegory, 33 degrees. Well, it took 33 years to build the temple. And in the process of building the temple, what happened was one of the stones wasn't finished overnight. So it wouldn't have been 33 years, it would have took them longer, do you know what I mean? Because this stone wasn't finished overnight. One of the stonemasons never cut it. And they came in the next again day, and it was perfectly cut. But it had the mark of the skull and bones on the stone. And that symbolised, basically, you could say the devil or Samuel. He came down and helped in the making of the temple and put his mark on the stone, which would be the skull and bones. He put his mark on to say that, basically, you'll maybe help build the temple, but eventually I'll get yous. I'll end up, I'll get yous, and I'll be judging yous. I'll be judging yous, because as I say, it's all to do with upstanding men. So he put his mark on the stone, basically the skull and bones, to say, I will get my judgment on yous. Do you know what I mean? I don't particularly like yous, but I'm here basically. The Jewish people, or some rabbis say that the devil's kind of, he's here to show you that you can be better. So do you know what I mean? Then it's like people say another point of view. When you see people who are wicked, you know that's a point of view you don't want to be or see or even be in the presence of. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like that. It's saying that he's going to help correct you in the physical world, and he's going to judge you when you're dead. You know what I mean? And that was the allegory.
So the devil is, in that theory, the one that shows us our own, the one that shows us our own path, the one that shows us our mirrors.
Yeah, well, what they say is he kind of still works for God because it has Aleph in his name, which is the all. So that means that Samuel's still working for God. But when you start to look into the other stuff, like say when you go people go and read the Goetia with that, what's his name? Ask that Mark Passio, asked Mark Passio about the woe at the bottom, because I studied a bit of this, and I didn't like studying it, but it's like, then I say to myself, to really understand this, I have to go down into the dark shit. Do you know what I mean? You have to learn even the dark stuff. You didn't really want to learn, but you have to learn it to really, to understand this, you know? And then I read about the Goetia, and like say, as I was talking to that, Passio asked him a question about the order, the OTO order, about the order Arterius, the Ordo Tempal Orientius. It's a funny fucking magical order. But what they do is they use basically the 72 names for God. The 72 names for God, or the 72 angels, you could say. Now they use the 72 names for God, and they put them to the 72 demon gods of the Goetia. So what they do is they in the process of calling up demons as well as angels, because these people call up demons as well to give them knowledge, and that's for me that's just wrong. Even reading Qabalah, they tell you it's wrong, because if you call up demons and you ask them stuff, you're getting it. As soon as you're dead, and if you've asked for wishes for these demons, when you're dead, they get to eat you. You go nowhere. That is a real hell where you get eaten with a demon. So that's what they say.
Oh, no thanks.
I don't know if this is true. You get me? You know what I mean?
And 72, there's a number.
Yeah, 72 names for God. As I say, it's like the Elohim, Hashem. That's Hashem. That would be the Aleph, the Shin and Mem, the three mothers. Hashem. That just means name. Do you know what I mean? But Hashem, as I say, they had to put a colon or a comet on the Aleph because it's got no sound. Do you know what I mean? So they put something on it to get the H, to give it the H. So that would, I think it's a.
That was interesting to me when you started with the alphabet a little while ago, and you started with that one, but you said it has no sound really, and I thought that's interesting because the Bible says in the Old Testament, in the beginning was the Word.
Every letter has no sound, Ninja. When you find out every single one of these letters can have no sound to them. Every single one of these letters can be silent.
Kate left that open, didn't she? Because she did that in the Phoenician alphabet starter kit, didn't she? I mean, essentially, if you look at enough words and enough spellings and enough pronunciations, you'll realise that almost everything can be silent at some point in some word, some way or other, in some language or other. Yeah. And so, yes, all of it can be with no sound, indeed. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, it's not that now. It's like you know Alan Shearer. Alan Shearer, the football player. when he was playing, I think it was against Morocco, his name in Morocco meant hashish. I thought that was brilliant, man.
Alan Hashish has now got the ball and he's running for the goal. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, I've picked up a bit of Punjabi with my friends. I've got a couple of Pakistani friends. They're like, they're just like one of the boys now. It's like, we're not like London, and you'll know that. Scotland's not a really multicultural society. It isn't some in the cities, but when you get out into the suburbs, it's not really. And like a couple of my mates, Safdar and Arf, good lads. We've been brought up with us since we were kids. Nobody looks at them with the colour of their skin, or even their religion, because Arfan doesn't practice. He's not a Muslim, but Safdar, he goes to the mosque and that. And you just treat these people as your mates because they're your mates. Do you know what I mean? You didn't go treat them just because of the colour of their skin. It's like, you're my mate. That's it, man. You know what I mean? It
takes a few generations before we reach that point, sadly. But yes, indeed, it can be reached.
He's teaching me Punjab. He's been teaching me a bit of Punjabi swear words, which can get you in a bit
helps
trouble.
You. No doubt that helps you. Again, you see, another language helps to bust the layers, doesn't it? Because I know from the languages that I've been exposed to in lessons in school, and also living abroad for a few years learning different languages, and that helps me so much with the phonics and busting the words and getting the extra layers out of them and digging deep, And so if you've got any extra languages, Punjab, oh my goodness, that must be very interesting to help you.
It's just weird. I wouldn't even repeat some of them. You call somebody a titu. That in Scotland would probably means a ballback. So when you call them a titu, you're calling them a ballback.
You'll have to explain all of that to me. I won't make you do it now.
Arfman is a good lad. Good stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, London, London obviously is very multicultural. I mean, you can't get away from it. It's just a complete and utter melting pot. It wasn't always like that. It was always multicultural, but it wasn't always perhaps quite the melting pot it must be by now, because even when I was growing up there, the mix and the different cultures in any high street was enormous. It must be even more now. I know it is. I haven't lived there since 2000, but yeah, for sure. And that's the beauty of it, though. And I think that gives us an advantage to understand some of these truths that are being shared at this table. That gives you the advantage when you have grown up, or you've been for some time exposed to so much multiculture. So many
I was given the Quran. Saf gave me the Quran in English.
Yeah.
So that was a great help, man, Because
as soon as you realise that, things aren't quite so one-sided, I think that's the thing. If you've come from a very limited experience of the world, in a very closed sort of society, it's not so bad these days with the internet, but take it 20, 30 years back, it would have been very difficult to really see everything unless you travelled. I've lost my thread really, but all I wanted to say was, something like the idea of there's not being just one way, that there isn't good and bad. That's too polarized. We must see the layers in everything. We must see the beauty and the dark in everything, and not just take one position and stand in it and say, but I don't know them, or they're the one
yourself now. You need to. I 100% agree with you, but when it comes to certain things, now it's like these people doing bad stuff to do magic. There's a lot of stuff these people are doing to so they can practice their magic, and I'm totally against that. Like really, totally against that.
But what we do, and we wouldn't do it ourselves, and we don't condone it. But we can see that we can't take a polarized position. We have to be neutral, because we have to accept all things, and we have to say, well, this is going on. I've heard about it. I've read about it. I wouldn't do it. Yeah. And they're judging themselves, so I don't need to get too deeply involved in that, and walk away.
The only thing that I get angry with, really, you would get me pissed off and what you attack people would be, and I'm really placid. I'm quite a placid lad now. It's basically paedophiles. when it comes to kids, that's just that's a point of view I cannot see. I can't. It's repugnant to me, and you know, it's like you know, and to so many people in the world it really is. But I see children as godlike. They're pure. They're innocent. It's you know, it's when they get to 13.
Well,
and
that's probably the reason for it, dear, isn't it? But,
you know yourself, when we get to 13, things go fucking haywire for children. Do you know what I mean? When you hit that age, you're 13, and it's like, wow, man, life's intense. Do you know what I mean? And then you get older individuals.
I try not to focus on those stories because obviously they're there, and I can't change those individual situations, so I try not to focus on them. But I'm aware of it as an overall issue. And what helped me very much to try to take the neutral position is just spending time at this table, because I was very polarised in many ways, and you know, we all are in many ways. Just different from each other ways, maybe, but that's one that always would get your goat. And
I agree with you, Nancy. I was the same.
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling Kate at the start. Like I wasn't feeling Kate. I thought big ego there, and you know, and you're listening to Kate's story, and then you're like, wait a minute, she's just trying to get her point across, and then it's like, nah, Kate's just trying to get your goat, man. She's just trying to get your goat, man. And that's, you know, she got my goat, like, yeah, but I got it back. She gave me it back. You know what I mean?
You might have an extra one there with you.
Yeah, a couple of goats.
But the point is, we must at all costs try to remain neutral, because that is the middle path. It's what you've been talking about tonight on this Kabbalistic tree of life, not going one way or the other, but going up the centre.
Look at a Taoist. You could look at a Taoist point as well, and you say positive, negative, neutral. You look at science, look at atoms, positive, negative, neutral. It's only in the neutral path, Ninja, you'll get to see it all. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is it, because if you're not neutral, you're missing something. You're blinded somewhere. You know, it's very, very, very good self-discipline if you want to be self-disciplined. I'm not very good at that, but I'm finding it easier and easier to just take the neutral position and leave those emotions where they belong, somewhere else. You know, if they're not serving me,
emotions, isn't it?
Yeah, if they're not serving me, then I'm not playing with them. I mean, the thing is, it's getting easier. It does get easier. It isn't easy to begin with. You know, I was very much an emotional reactor to information, to news, to this and that. And I'm almost zero reaction now. I just laugh most of the time. But that comes over a period of time. You know, it's not happening immediately when you reach this level and you start seeing people like myself now taking the piss out of something quite serious that would have upset me a year ago. I'll just laugh at it now. But that takes time to reach that place.
Well, if you had to say to me then a couple of years ago that I would be studying Jewish Qabalah and I would be tattooed with basically I've got a Star of David on my chest. Do you know what I mean? I've got the Yotei Vahi below. I've got a shin in the centre of it. Basically a Kabbalistic tattoo I got. And my mate saying to me, "Why you got a Star of David on your chest?" And I'm saying, "It's not a Star of David, mate. It's a Sealy Solomon." Do you know what I mean? I got it as an impulse. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to get a tattoo done. You know what I mean? So I went and got this done. God knows why. You know what I mean? But people are looking at me and saying, "Is this guy a Jew?" And it's like, no. I was really anti-Semitic at one point. To like, you know what I mean? Seen it for what it was. Do you know what I mean? It was polarising me. And don't get me wrong. When you read some of the Jewish texts, when you read the Talmud, I read bits in the Talmud, they're kind of horrible. It says, you know, take a child's virginity and like a tear it shall be given back, and it's like that's horrible. I'm none of that, mate. Do you know what I mean? But at the point, I say to myself, like, that's kind of horrible, but I still need to read this. Do you know what I mean?
I think the point is to look at the allegory all the time. Try not to interpret the literal, because it may be written in such a way that perhaps those who knew what that meant, who wrote it, maybe didn't mean that literally. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you know, we don't know what their intent was when they wrote those things. And for us to take it literally may be us missing the point. So we should look at both sides and then find some middle ground and sort of say, okay, well, it might be that, it might be that.
Deeper meanings in it. There's deeper meanings to these.
Yeah, well, surely there must be. There wouldn't be such ancient texts and so many mysteries around them if they were so literal and only literal. I think not. Mm.
Yeah. Like I say, I couldn't believe it at the start. I thought, Qabalah, as you know, Madonna and all that, I'm saying, oh, it's all Satanism. It's all Satanism. Polarised, oh, they're worshipping the devil. And then I thought, no, I'm going to look at this. I need to look at this. Do you know what I mean? So I went and looked at the Goetia and stuff like that, looked at the real devil worshipping. Do you know what I mean? Looked at the Anton LaVey's and your Crowleys and see what your real scummy kind of cats were up to and saying, like, that's a point of view I'm not want to partake in. But I'll listen to them and I'll see what they're up to. Do you know what I mean? And then you get into, like, say, some of the Scientology stuff. You look at Scientology, that's auditing, that's correcting. You look at some of that, that's kind of Kabbalistic, like, and some of it's magical. There's a lot of, what was his name? L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah, L. Ron Hubbard was friends with Mr. Crowley and a few other people, I think the man who invented the jet engine. He was an American, worked in a military base, I think. And he was a high magician, and he basically said that in some desert in America, he cracked the space-time continuum, and a wee being popped out and landed. There's some wee being, he called up a being, and he was giving him information. This man developed the jet engine. You know what I mean? This isn't an idiot. This is a scientist talking about, I was doing magic, and some wee dimensional being popped out. Man, I can't remember the name of him, and was giving him crazy information. And it's like, is this true? Whether to believe this or no, Nancy. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? We get to choose, don't we? We get to choose what we decide to take seriously, what we decide to look at for deeper meaning. We can just stand and look at all of it and say, no, not for me. Oh, maybe I'll have a look. Or, I don't care about any of it. Fuck a lot of it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Because it doesn't have to be in my reality. It doesn't have to be part of my focus. And if I'm not looking at it, it doesn't exist, does it? I don't know. Probably not.
That's the way I look at it and say it, but you can't see it, it's there. It's like that old saying then to you, if when the tree falls in the woods, do you know what I'm saying? Does it make a sound if nobody's there to hear it?
Well, this is also all these things, all these things are just clues, and they're giving us options about how to walk this way, whichever way we're walking, which is our way, our name. I mean, if I want to walk the way of drama, fear porn, oh my God, look at that, he's done this, and well, I can enjoy that life, and it'll take me where it takes me, and I'll end up where I end up, and I'll die when I die, and I'll go where I go. Or I can take a different way and say, well, okay, well, I'm not doing that. I don't remember ever doing that. Who says I did or who says I didn't? I don't know. Not for me this time, thanks very much, and I'm away over here, because this looks nice. What's over here? This is all the attention we need to give it. It's always a choice. Everything's a choice. We spend every moment of every minute choosing,
Yeah, but with massive research as well, now, we'll go into the Jewish stuff as well, was, as I say, back looking at the family history to do with King Kenneth MacAlpine. He was the king of Dalriata, who came his name Scotland. And I looked into that, plus I don't know if you heard of Maudit. He used to be on the Ian Crane's show on the TV. Done a couple of things on, I think it was Rich Planet, Rich Hall had him on. And he was in the jail and all. He was a free man. I think he was a free man at the start. He was from Ireland. He's English, but he moved to Ireland. And I watched the documentary, and this was years later after reading all of this stuff, and he was saying, talking about Ireland and Tara and the hilly shafts in Scotland, and talking about, like, say, the Israelite connection to Scotland, and how Scotland, Scota, was named after a Jewish princess, and how, like, say, the Stone of Jacob, that's where the stone the King of Queen England gets coronated on. It's, yeah, the Stone of Jacob. Well, that's the Stone of Scone, or so the Stone of Destiny.
Scone, yeah.
Jacob's Pillar, Jacob's Pillow. So I decided to look into that, and then, when you go back to, like, say, the last king of Scotland before the Bruce was Balliol, he was from the unbroken line, And Balliol and his coronation, these are all in France. This is another strange thing. A lot of the Scottish old history, our old documents are all, the French have got them. They're saying, you're not getting them back. They're yours. But there's the coronation of Balliol, and Balliol states in his coronation that he sits in this stone of an unbroken line going back to King David, going back to Jacob, sitting on this stone of Jacob, you know, and then you start to look into Scottish history, and then you've got, back in the day, you've minded this, the Jacobite Rebellion.
Yeah, rings a bell.
Yeah, the Jacobite Rebellion.
Oh, I don't know if I was there at the time, but no, from school.
No,
yeah,
of course, but you know what I mean. History, watching history on the telly.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the Jacobite stuff, and I'm saying Jacobite. You know, Jacob was Israelite. You know, Jacob was Israel, the Israelites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait a minute here. So I start to look into, like, say, a lot of Scottish connections to do with the tribe of Judah. You know, the 2 lost tribes. They talk about there's only 10 tribes. The 2 highest tribes are lost. You know, so I'm saying, wait a minute, man. This is Scottish and the Irish. And you look at the biblical text, Joseph. You know, Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat. Well, Joseph, his sons, that was Jacob's son, Joseph. Well, yeah, Jacob's son Jacob said that Joseph's son would bless the earth. They called him the Ephraim. And they said that the Ephraim would bless the earth. And I thought, that's kind of strange. Who would the Ephraim be, you know? And then they're saying that would be the highest tribe, that would be the Lion of Judah, and all this carries on. So I started to look into it a bit of that, you know, and it's kind of like, the Scottish and Irish could be the Ephraim, you know, and then you look at the Scottish and the Irish. Next to what happened with the poor people from Africa getting took away in slave boats, the most travelled people are the Scottish and the Irish, all over the world, do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's kind of strange, you know? They have blessed this earth, as Jacob once said. But that's looking at it literal. I'm just saying, it's speculative. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is true or not. Well, that's just what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's interesting. It's very interesting.
When we're talking about blessing the earth, there's a simple way that all of us can do that. Just go outside and take a pee on the ground. That's the most powerful blessing I think the earth's going to get in that moment. I do that fairly regularly. No, I mean, you know, because I haven't when we were very little, my mother would, as most mothers used to do in those days, when you had young children out in London and they needed the toilet, you know, you would stand them between 2 parked cars. Did you ever have that happen? It's very embarrassing. Yeah. Your mum would put you between 2 parked cars and say, have a quick wee there, you know, because you couldn't go anywhere else. It was, you know, on your way to a friend's house or whatever you were doing. So that was when I was a child, peeing outside. Could be the
spitting, that's the worst. They spit in a handkerchief. Rubbing it on your face.
Oh, don't, yeah. We love it now. We want all those body fluids now. But anyway, yeah, and so that was the only time I peed outside when I was very young and I had no choice. And I was highly embarrassed and was, you know, oh God, no. But now I do it because I just want to do it. And, you know, this divine essence that creates the human body, what are we? The vehicle of a god, if you like. Forget human.
Drink your urine,
we need to. Yes, I do. Yeah, and I use it for other things as well. But the point is,
it's used in magical ceremonies. That's what I first came across it.
That makes sense.
It's used in magical ceremonies.
Well, it's the most amazing stuff, isn't it? And it's so powerful as a healing and as a spiritual connecting method, and as a it creates the body, you see, so of course it's powerful. It must be next to the blood, you know, the 2 most powerful things, and then the sperm. And yeah, okay, so if you want to bless the earth, go and have a wee outside. And if you can't wee outside because of where you live, wee in a glass or some other vessel and take it outside and pour it out. You know, use it in your garden and water your plants. Dilute it a bit, though. They say 1 part urine to 10 parts water is a good one for the garden. But do your thing outside. I go outside and the dog comes with me and he's pissing over there and I'm pissing over there and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him.
That is funny. Yeah, it's good for plants, and then you know that, you know, people are growing cannabis and that. If your plants are lacking a little bit of nitrogen, just get a wee peanut. Good for your plants.
Yeah, but not because they're lacking anything, although, yes, by all means, but because it's part of you. And if you're going to be eating those things, or if you just want to bless nature with your own essence, then do it, by all means. But don't be shy, you know, it's I read somewhere, when was it? I don't even know anymore. Before I even understood about urine therapy, I think it was a YouTube video I'd watched that some woman was praising the notion of urinating on the ground as I've just done, because I understand now why. I didn't understand then why, but I do remember watching this video, and it was to do with, the earth is craving this connection with these gods that are walking on her, because it's a divine connection, and we need to be doing that.
Well, how many people, Ninja, if you had to say to them, hold on a minute, you're actually God, would actually probably have a bit more respect for themselves and others? If you had to really explain the religious sides of things, really go deep into the religious sides of things and say, look, this is what this really represents. This is what's represented. And you look at Christianity, as I say, Islam, Judaism, little boxes. Everywhere I look, I see little boxes looking at these religions. And you point out to them, a lot of people don't like it.
Well, I don't.
Look, by the way, you're God. If you had to explain the Kabbalistic interpretation, how many people would have more self-respect for themselves and other people? Because, like Albert Einstein said earlier, you manifest your own reality. You can manifest your own reality, and this isn't philosophy. He states at the end, this is physics. Right at the very end of the quote, this isn't philosophy. This is physics. This is math. In short words, I can prove this with numbers. One of these people.
I think my preferred method, because I don't have all that information, I didn't study the Bible and all the other religions, and I'm very much flying on the go. So my way of connecting to people, if I want to touch their God self, that part of them that they haven't recognised yet, is to discuss the urine with them and the fact that it is what brought them here. I think that's my way in, and that for those who are ready for it, that's enough. And they can figure the rest out for themselves. What came in our mother's waters, didn't they? Which is our own water, because we create, as we grow, we need more and more water, and it's our own urine and drinking and urine and drinking and urine and drinking and we made ourselves. Hello, how clever are we? So and if we can make ourselves, I mean, really. What else can't we? Come on.
Well, explain this. The only thing we've not got the will to do is create universes. Every other way we're God. This is the things when you look at it. This is what pissed the angels off. The angels couldn't go away and go and get a nice pretty wife and have some babies and have a good life. That's what pissed the angels off, because we had the ability to create life. Do you know what I mean? And that's what basically pissed it. And then you look at the allegories for all the angels who've fallen and they bred with the daughters of Eve, and when you look at like Enoch and stuff like that, it's like, but I find that kind of strange, because it says that like say the Metatron and that, they've not got any genitalia, so how are they managing to basically come down here and basically breed if they've got no genitalia?
Must be pure intent. We've been chatting away. We've been chatting away, Paul, and I haven't been paying attention to the board. I've got lots of people with their hand up, so I'm going to open a couple of mics and see who's got something to say. So, Borean, I've just opened your line, hon, and...
Hey, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, Borean.
Hi, I can hear you,
Hey, you guys, well, go ahead and keep opening mics, but you guys are dead on tonight, and I just want to say that that's absolutely true. And once you reclaim your creative intent, you become the all-powerful being. You become the one that's in control of your universe, and whatever you want to create in that, you absolutely can. But the catch is, if you are working towards your legal name and you're putting your energy into a legal name, and that's where all your vested energy and that's where all your spiritual intent is going into building and creating this fictional thing, that's where they're robbing you of your creative intent and your ability to be able to become the person that you were meant to be. So once you get completely out of this game, completely, you completely regain your creative intent, and you can create whatever world you want to create. It's magical. It's beautiful. It's all true. And it is scientific, just like Paul's saying. It's scientific, and I need to make this clear too, that we each all have our own walk, and I'm just kind of getting tired of well my truth is my truth, well yes, we each have our own truths, because only you walked in your shoes. Only you can judge you. Only you have the experiences you've had throughout your life. So, of course, all the details are only going to apply to you. Yeah, it's great that your name, equates to 33, or it's great you have a connection, with the Freemason connection and getting into the Qabalah and all that and seeing the contrast that way. But we each all have our own, little contrasts that we have to see. And that's what makes this whole game so hard to describe, because you can only see it from your point of view. So anywho, I love you all. Thank you for standing in the truth, and sorry I'm late tonight, but I had a neighbor's cat to bury tonight, but it's all good, and peace, love, and happiness. Carry on.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for sharing. Yeah, tell us about the cat. Yeah. There was something special with that cat, Borean. What was it?
Borean.
That cat was an awesome cat. He thought he was a dog. And he, as soon as I'd walk in the back gate of my friend's house over here, all I'd have to do is pat on my leg, and he would come running up and put his front paws on my leg and give him a big old loving dig in kind of scratch on his back, and he used to love that stuff. He was an amazing cat, and he peacefully, just unexpectedly, he died in his sleep underneath the porch. I'm kind of thinking he was probably dreaming, and he just decided not to come back. That's just the way I look at it, maybe. Anywho.
Oh, beautiful. Bless him. Oh. Yeah. Hi, is that Bob?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi,
how are you?
Good evening, Bob.
How are you? G'day, Paul, and g'day, Dorian. G'day, everybody out there. Yeah, very interesting show. Sorry I'm late. I've got a note from me mum.
Same here.
You were talking about the neutral, and it sort of follows on from something I mentioned yesterday about stop feeding the beast. How I found the neutral path, and I have a very mechanical approach to spirituality, was I came across the work of Lungold and his explanation and his of evolution and our consciousness, at an exponential rate. And his basic premise, all that has to happen is happening. And, so all the wars and all the terror and all the horrible stuff and the Bushes and the Hitlers and all that sort of stuff, that all has to happen. But for me, in my own journey, I've chosen to not feed the beast, or to stop feeding the beast, so I don't direct my energy to any of that stuff, because that's not part of the world that I want to live in, and that works for me. And I never will give unsolicited advice, because that for me is abuse. I find that posture toxic. But as a suggestion, I would recommend that anybody and everybody just watch Ian Lungold's presentation on the Mayan calendar, and that really put everything into perspective for me. Talking about living with intention, I do. I've set my own conscious intention for me, and that I am here to have a joyful, loving, and abundant life. Continuously in the background, and unfolds in my life since I consciously control of my setting that intention. Every time building in with that intent. I don't have to do anything. I just know now and trust now that everything unfolds that way. And as Borean said, it is a beautiful experience. And I have a sense, as more people, their truth, eventually come, everybody is in their truth, and time the picture complete. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that's spot on, Bob. Spot on.
People talk about universal truth, and for me, I'm a bit of a precisionist. I've always been known for my propensity to get to the microscopic truth, and for me, people that come out with, oh, this is a universal truth. Now, for me, for that statement to be true, everything in the universe would have to agree with it for it to be a universal truth. So for me, all I know is my truth. That's all I really know, and that's all I can really share. Anything beyond that, for me, is guesswork and assumption. And I don't work with either of those because they they lead nowhere for me. And that's just my story, and it's experience.
That's beautiful
but
words,
it's working
Bob.
for me.
That's beautiful words.
Yeah.
There wasn't just one big bang. There were several big bangs. It wasn't just one. I have my universe. You have yours. Sometimes we'll collide and we'll do our little dance, and it's all good and happy. We all have our own universe.
Yeah, it's interesting you see that, Borean, because
you
see that God created 7 firmaments, so there would be 7 big bangs.
Yeah.
All I get a sense of, God created man. However, my point of view, and God created us all. God created us so therefore we are all sovereign, and I have no jurisdiction over anybody else, and nobody else has jurisdiction over me. But following on from that uniqueness, I know my truth, your truth, and they're different, and that's great. That's brilliant. That's like viva la difference, and yet the societal conditioning that's been going on for thousands of years is no. My truth is the right truth, and and I have power over you, and you're going to follow my truth. So uniqueness, I do not accept any. There's no argument between any of us. Merely the chance to accept the uniqueness that makes us all so beautiful. And it's out there and spreads more and more, because I just hear so many people shouting at each other and shouting each other down, when my truth is we're all unique and different, and let's celebrate that difference and love that difference in each other.
Absolutely.
Total
agreement. Yeah.
Guys, we're coming up to the rollover point. We can roll over for a little while, but I want to play the jingle and give people a chance to call in if they want to. I'm not sure how long we'll roll over for, because that depends on connections, because as everyone knows, if that falls, then it cannot be reconnected. So we've got about 8.5 minutes. So I'm going to play a jingle, and then the call-in number, if you're on the telephone, is area code 661-467-2401. And tonight's BTR listener number is, somebody may already know, I can't quite remember. I think it
050.
was... oh, thank you, Mr. Fide, 050. So, yeah, get calling in if you want to, and in the meantime, we'll have this.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
There we go. I've opened up a couple of other mics. I'm not quite sure who they are, but everybody who had their hand up has an open mic now, so do join in if you'd like to.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to what you were talking about with race and stuff like that. I've always told my daughter that we're all the same underneath. We're all one people, and not to judge other people by skin colour. And I would never describe somebody like that, right? And one afternoon I was sitting watching the boxing, and there was a fella from the UK and there was a fella from Africa, and she made a comment, and I said to her, which one? And it would have been the easiest thing for her in the world to say that, and what she did was she said the one with the blue shorts. And it was amazing, and I just turned and looked at her and smiled and gave her a big hug, and I was like, yeah, I've done a good job.
Wonderful.
Class.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's class.
education I ever had, Paul, was I had the good fortune to travel the world as a Marine in P&O in the early 70s.
You in the Marines, Bob?
I'll go to university. No, in the Merchant Navy. I was an engineering officer with P&O on the cruise liners. And that for me was the greatest educational opportunity I could have had at that time, because it got me round and got me close to other cultures, and I came out with the realization that, yeah, we are different, but we are beautiful, you know, and there is no division between us. People that, you know, never get out of their village, well, they're going to have a perception of other cultures. You know, I know in Australia that I have a great deal to learn from the primary cultures here, and I'm doing my best to gain that information. And as for Ninja, as to treasuring the land, well, I don't pee on the land, not often, but I pee in the ocean. not so you'd notice it. And I do not own a pair of shoes. I do not own shoes. So wherever I am, my feet are on the ground, and it's been 5 years now, and that connection is just, I don't know, I do. It sounds corny, but I feel grounded. I feel grounded through that process.
In my younger days,
anyway, I'm taking up too much time.
When I was 15, we went to the Gambia in Africa on holiday, you know. And to be perfectly honest, that was probably one of the best 2 weeks of my life. Yeah, there's such cool people, man. It's like, well, I went to Jamaica, you know, it's a total contrast. It's do you know what I mean? It's totally different in Jamaica, but when we went to the Gambia, people were so lovely and just, you know, just so nice and generous and big smiles every day, do you know what I mean? And they never had a hell of a lot, but just, the people were just class. When we arrived, there was what was it they call it, a curfew, so they weren't allowed out at certain times at night, but we were all the tourists, we were always alright, do you know? And I minded going to the beach one night, and there's like Lakes African boys down there, like, you know, drinking and smoking that, and I'm saying, why are you doing the beach? How come you only at the clubs and that? And they're saying, no, because of the curfew, we can't go and all this carry on. And it was like, it would be such a better nightlife if you were there. Do you know what I mean? And they're saying, yeah, it's because of this curfew and what's going on. We can't go in, you know. It's like, wow, man. But we went to Kutakinti's village, where Kutakinti came from, the Gambia, and we went to Robin's Island. It was at Robin's Island. It was a slave island where they used to keep the slaves before they would import them. And it was so sad. It really was so sad. But when we went to Kutakinti's village, these people were so beautiful, beautiful people. There was none of this, like, say, we could say, any hatred towards, like, say, the white people because of the past or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, just everybody treating you as a human being, you know, really cool. I liked Africa. Beautiful people, beautiful man.
We're all the same.
On the subject,
travelling around Australia, meeting original cultures. I went 8 times around Australia in a combi as a folk singer, and whenever I could, I'd sort of lob into a local community. And, you know, these people haven't got a pot to piss in, but what I've always noticed is when you're sitting in the circle with them, just the joy there. You know, the kids are giggling, and they've just got such a great sense of humour, but not a lot of stuff. You know, it's like stuff doesn't worry them. Right.
Yeah. You should look at the story of the people of St Kilda. Oh, sorry, Bob, you're cutting out.
Maybe it will. Am I?
Yeah, it's intermittent.
I'll just share a quick little if it becomes unreadable, just let me know. And I was up on Melville Island, which is a little island north of Darwin. I'd gone there on a square rig sailing ship. I was teaching people to sail, and we all went ashore and spent the day with the original community up there. And I took my guitar ashore, and we sat down in the afternoon around the campfire, and the Aboriginal elder got his community guitar out, and Willie Nelson would have been proud because it was more holes than wood. So he's sitting there tuning his guitar up, and this guy looks like a gorilla. He had no neck. He was just huge, such a powerful, massive, masculine presence. And he turns around, and I'm sort of sitting there spellbound, waiting for something magical to come out. And so he goes, bling, we don't need no education. And I lost it. I lost it. Yeah, I'm as far away from white civilization as it's possible to get in Australia, and what comes out is... every time I think of it now, I just crack up. It's just so brilliant, so brilliant. But we had a lovely time, and every time I've connected with the original people here, it's always been a soul-shifting experience. So much to learn from these people. Anyway, it's nearly time for rollover, so I'll shut up because I could talk for years.
So wait a minute here. You take a trip to go see the Australian Aboriginal shaman, and he busts out, his homeboy shows up, and busts out his guitar and he starts playing Pink Floyd. That's awesome. Yeah. That's a great story. That's fantastic.
I was on about
Ripper.
Yeah, do you know in Iran we see that Pink Floyd's massive in Iran. The Iranians love a bit of Floyd, like.
The Persians are lovely people.
Yeah, the
Brilliant,
Persians are quite cool, like.
If you look into persepolis and stuff like that.
We're just all people. We're all cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In fact, we're no people, we're gods. You know what I mean?
Hey guys, speaking of guitar and playing, I'm going to play a song because, why not? I like it. And I'm going to play this one actually for Kate because she isn't here, and although we wish her as much rest as she needs, we do miss her, so I'm going to play this one for Kate. So if you could mute out, please, guys, until it's finished, and then we can all just enjoy, because tonight...
Pray tomorrow comes and you'll be there. In your eyes are dreams we promised we would see. Come tomorrow, bring the dawn of you and me. Because tonight feels a lot like forever. Every moment hangs in silence without you. Because tonight is not somewhere I wanna be. I need you near. I need you here. Because tonight, being here without you just isn't me. Stars tonight, do you remember? Can you still taste the wines of passion deep? And wake tomorrow, do you miss the night now gone? Is there enough to hold your heart for me? tonight, being here without you just isn't me. So I hope tomorrow finds me safe in the arms of love. I pray tomorrow comes and you'll be there.
Now, not rushing you back or anything, Kate. Pray tomorrow comes and you'll be there. Now, that's so beautiful. I love, love, love. So many of these songs are so deeply, profoundly beautiful. How is that possible? I don't know. It's a gift, that's for sure. What say you guys?
Yep.
Yeah, I like these ones.
Did you remember to unmute yourself?
Definitely.
Yeah. It's a song she plays at the start of the show every night. That's a great song.
Yeah, what I was saying before was about a place called St Kilda. It's a group of islands in the Hebrides of Scotland, and there was a group of people that lived there with no money, hardly any contact with the outside world. They had communal boats, communal ropes, and every person got their turn with the boats to go out and do fishing and collect seabird eggs and one thing and another, and they completely lived without money. It was a utopia.
Yeah, actually, I know what you're talking about there. Did it not all go pear-shaped at the end, though? I think they took them all off the island, didn't they?
Yeah, what happened was they were using their own poop as fertilizer, and there was lead building up, and it started poisoning them, so they had to take them off the islands. But if they hadn't done that, it would still be going.
That's interesting. Yeah, I might be watching a documentary about that Mystified.
Yeah.
You know, and saying that it was the poop that was killing them, and it was... I can't remember what was in the poop, but it was extremely poisonous. It
was from the fish and the sea egg. I think there was lead in them, and it was building up inside the humans, and they were using the dung as fertilizer. And it started. Even now, they tested the soil, and it's got a toxic amount of lead in it still.
Interesting. No, but the bottles could do this. If you want to start to, there's people out there who are. Jack Fresco. I've looked at some of Jack Fresco's work. Some of it's kind of interesting, some of it's a bit meat sticky, you could say. But it's some good ideas for Jack Fresco, about the society we could really make. Do you know what I mean?
There's a fella grabbed an island up in Scotland called
Boyle.
What's that, Bob?
Yeah, I came across a guy recently. I think he's a Scot. He's a Celt anyway. Mark Boyle, and he's been living without money for 4 or 5 years now. He's got some good stuff on YouTube. And I had a classic example the other day. I went over to the Marine Rescue Building because they're having a music afternoon, and I sat outside with a friend of mine, and he was just sitting there wearing a sarong, palm fronds that he collected, and he was just sitting there weaving little palm baskets and palm hats, and people would come up and say, "Oh, will you make a little girl a hat?" And Mum bought him a beer, and then he made another person a little wicker basket, and they bunched. So I spent the whole afternoon with Rick, and he never spent a penny. And we had a great time just chatting with people, and he was just weaving baskets out of palm fronds. And by the time he left there, he was pissed and as full as a gug, So there was no money changed hands, but a lot of love and just an exchange of energy. So it is possible, It's possible. We've just forgotten how to do it, Well, yeah.
Definitely.
Oops.
Are you still there, Bob? You have been cutting out, but we can hear you. Okay, you're back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
your connection's really good, and then suddenly it just goes quiet for a little bit too long to be comfortable, and we're not sure if you're still there, but then you come back again, so we have to get used to that. That's all right.
Yeah, it's about 4-second delay. It's about 4-second delay, unfortunately, Ninja. But when you all come over to Australia to go cruising around the Whitsunday Islands with me, or when we're all telepathic, it won't be a problem with it.
No, not at all.
I want to go to that cannabis festival. What's that town called again? I forget. You know, Bob, your mate's there, the mayor. Oh, I forget his name now.
To get in touch.
The mayor, he's the mayor of that Australian town where they have the cannabis carnival every year. What was it you called him? Fast Eddie or something like that? Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie, he's a mate of mine.
Yeah, he's the mayor of that town. Nimbin, that's it, yeah. They have a cannabis carnival.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a mate of mine. I met him through the folk scene, you know. So, yeah, I love him. Just, yeah. You know, he says, do I look as if I need drugs? He's a cracker. He's an absolute cracker. I love the man. Yeah, yeah. Oh, dear. Oh, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. And so few Australians have actually seen much of it, you know. I've probably seen more of Australia than probably 90% here. I reckon I've seen about 80% of this land in the 24 years.
Okay.
Place. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Well, that's kind of cool, Bob. You know, I'd like to go about seeing more of Scotland, you know. Seen a fair bit of it, but not as much as I would like to see, you know. Especially bits of England as well, and bits of Wales. I'd love to go to Wales. I've never been to Wales. Love to go to Wales. Yeah, I love Welsh people. They're actually class.
Like the Geordies.
Yeah, like mystified. Yeah, I've been doing in Newcastle a couple of times. It's a good night out, like.
Oh yeah, best night out in Europe.
Yeah. But yeah, the Celtic origins, you know, because in my own spiritual journey, I went down the path of, you know, staring at some picture of some olive-skinned person with a red dot on their forehead and all that sort of stuff, and it for me, because that's not my roots. My roots are Celtic.
Yeah, Druidic. Look at our Druidic roots with Michael Sargent's starting to look into. They've been hidden and stole from us, do you know? When you look at the allegories to do with St. Patrick burning St. Patrick, he chased the snakes out of Ireland. Bullshit. He brought the snakes to Ireland in his phony fucking Roman bullshit. And then you look at him burning the books, they say, yeah, he burned the books, but the bardic traditions, we never had books, we had bards. Do you know what I mean? We had oral bards, so what does he mean by burning the books? He was killing people. Going about killing the oral traditions of the Celtic peoples. We never put anything down on books. The way we done it was to do with your bards, you know, your oral traditions. People would tell you stories about the old times. They would get passed on. They said it could take up to 25 years as an apprenticeship, a 25-year apprenticeship to learn.
Yeah, well, that's,
you know.
Well, that's something that's you know, a very strong similarity with all cultures that I've come across. You know, we got the first tribes in Australia, but the African tribes as well. You know, their oral history, and the Dogon tribe. You know, their oral tradition goes back so far, and some of the stuff that they're passing forward, like who's that incredible physicist, Stephen Hawkins?
Yeah, Hawkins.
Apparently, if you ask him how many fundamental particles there are, he will say there's over 200 fundamental particles in the universe. Dogon tribe will tell you categorically there are 266, and each particle is part of their oral tradition. You know, so.
Yep, their information comes from Egypt, doesn't it? It's the same as the Egyptians had. They split off from them.
Yeah.
Quite a long time ago, and they knew about the Orion belt and the extra stars that were in Orion that you couldn't see with the naked eye, and they knew they were there. And nobody can explain how they knew they were there.
Here. Yeah, up here in the Kimberleys, the northwest of there's such a rugged coastline, and I was lucky enough to to explore that from this square rig sailing ship that I was working on. And some of the artwork up there is so old that the tribes ask, who did that? They say the birds did it. It's before our time. And they've been trying to date the artwork, scientifically. And the latest figures are like 120, 140, 160,000 years ago that this artwork was done. So,
yeah.
And if you don't get to hear about it in mainstream media. It's just, and I've been there, I stood against those cave walls, and they look to me like, there's no other explanation, So it's a fantastic world and a fantastic age that I am living in this moment, because so much is coming to light. So many of the old myths are being busted, and people are just taking a 180 degree turn and finding the truth. Because for me, that's where it's been. I look at everything I've learned and then just unlearn it, and look the other way, and that's where all this great new stuff's. It's brilliant. I love it. Great time to be alive. It's fantastic.
In Graham Hancock's book Supernatural, he went all over the planet on every continent and like some of the oldest caves in the world, and the one thing that they all had in common was every one of them had therianthropes, which is like a human body with an animal's head. So either it was all one culture at the time, or they were all using psychedelics.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun to be alive, especially if you don't own a television,
Paul, what happened to the Picts?
Oh, the Picts, mate. The Picts, they just became assimilated with the Scots. Well, you look at it was the Dalriashans. They were like the Irish who came. They came to basically Pictish Scotland. Well, it would have been Caledonia. And they united the tribes. It was just tribes. They united them. Kind of united them. But when you look at King Kenneth MacAlpine, who's an ancestor of mine, he was a bit of a scumbag as well. Do you know what I mean? He came with these fucking pharaoh, you know what I mean, religious types, and brought in Christianity, you could say. Helped Christianise Scotland, the Pictish Scotland.
Yeah. I know that was like where the Druids ran from. When the Romans took over Anglesey and flattened it.
What's that, mate?
I was just going to say, when the Romans, they made a beeline for all of the Druidic places, and Anglesey was one of the main homes of the Druidic people, and then when the Romans flattened that, the Picts, they fled to the Picts, didn't they? And there was a battle up there, and one of the tribal...
Look at it, there's all your Arthurian legends are stemming from Scotland. I'll argue with Alan Wilson in Wales. He's telling you this and that. I agree with a lot of his stuff. But most of these, you want to go arguing about Camelot, and where Camelot is that's in Scotland. I'll tell you right now, it's in Scotland. It's named after Lot, Camelot. Loth of Lothian was Lot. Do you know what I'm saying? And you start to look at a camel tree. That's what the Romans called it, camel tree, and that would be in West Calder. Do you know what I mean? You start to look into your old hidden history round about. You know what I mean? Is it fact or fiction? Some of the Arthurian legends, especially in Britain. You know what I mean? In my opinion, they're no. Arthur existed, like. But people will say, oh, that's nonsense, so I'll argue with you about that. It's like, well, argue all you want. Why is Edinburgh called that? The biggest hill in Edinburgh called Arthur's Seat. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you start to look into the Bryphonic names of Scotland, Britain, Bryphonic names of Britain. You know what I mean? It's like I was saying to you, Mr. Five, you live in the land of the Gododin. Who were the Gododin? You know, these were warrior peoples. You know what I mean? The Romans couldn't conquer anybody in the northern lands. They never had it in them. They sent 9 legions into Scotland and they go, you know what I mean? I don't really want to go into that, but they sent 9 legions in and their 9 legions got slapped. Do you know what I mean? And then they're coming up here for some, far as I was concerned, they were looking for stuff. Because the last wall they built, the Antonine Wall, was made of wood. So that suggests that they weren't really planning on staying. Do you know what I mean? Where the Hadrian's Wall was built of stone. So when you start to look into Bryphonic Britain, you know, it gets kind of especially with Scotland, it gets kind of deep and dark. Especially when you look at the Pictish stuff, you know, the Pictish who were the Picts? You know what people say, the Egyptians. Pictish it means an Egyptian, and it means painted warriors. And what were the Picts? They were tattooed. They fought naked. Do you know what I mean? Because the way they looked at it was, we came into this world naked, so we're going to go fighting. If we've got to go out, I'm going to go out naked. So that's what the big naked thing was with the Picts getting their kit off.
Women warriors. They women were just as fierce as the men.
Ireland. Go to Ireland. I'm telling you, some of the fiercest women warriors came from Ireland, brother.
Yeah.
That's my heritage on my mother's side.
Yeah,
Ireland.
they've still got a few.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. The stories that she told me about my grandmother, who was from Dublin, are just absolutely shocking. She battered the police and everybody in the town. She didn't give a shit. They came to the door and didn't like the look of you. You got the frying pan or whatever it was. And that was just how it was in those days. People fought their own battles, and the police usually kept the bloody nose out. But dare not go to that house. Oh, no. And it kind of watered itself down after 2 generations. Don't quite do it. We do it different now, don't we? We batter them with some truth and say, hey, on your bike.
Oh, yeah, Celtic women take no shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I was
you look
thinking?
at some of that, you look at the American patriotism, you know, I find the American patriotism kind of strange, because a lot of these people, as you know, they're not American. Their ancestors, obviously, they're American now, but their ancestors came. So I find it quite strange how a lot of Americans have got no real concepts of their heritage or where else it came from.
You're describing the programming, darling. You're describing the effectiveness of the program, because that doesn't make sense to me at all. Because my grandmother was Irish, and I've never stepped foot on the land yet. But I've got a strong affinity for it, and I'm interested in it. I don't feel like, oh well, you know, I don't know how you could do that unless it was deliberate and wipe that out.
Roots.
Yeah.
Where you came from.
To wipe that out has to have been very, very deliberate, because you've got, I mean, absolutely everybody went to the Americas. Everybody went. I mean, everybody.
Yeah. So
the combination of cultural roots is vast, and yet none of them seem to talk about it. So it's very comprehensive, I think.
Yeah, the Dutch connections, the German connections, Irish. It's quite
Swedes,
strange. It's like
Norwegians,
where's
everybody went.
Affinity for your ancestors, you know. It's like
someone's making some noise there.
Fanatically patriotic.
Yeah. No, that's just strange. Mm-hmm. Going back to.
Sorry, I think it's because they're such a young country. Because their history is English history, up to a point, and then they've got no history, so that's why they're rabid.
Yeah. Was Barnaby killing his ball?
Was it? I'm glad to know what it was, because there was no way to guess.
Yeah, well, I could be Irish from friends my mother brought home.
I've had a little thing. Look, let's go back to the beginning of the show, where we were talking about the main theme of the show is Qabalah, and often recently we've been talking. Kate has brought to our attention, you know, the Interstate 60 and the cab ride, and how, you know, we're supposed to just take that cab ride, and it's unique for us. Well, here we go. Put the two together. Qabalah, Qabalah. Now the la, what follows is me, you, him, her. Qabalah, Paul. Qabalah.
Yeah. Qabalah.
Mystified.
Yeah, you're right, then. Allah, like you would say the Qabalah, like Allah. Let's break down Allah. Like Allah. That's Aleph. That is Aleph. So when the Muslims are saying Allah, they're really saying Aleph. So Aleph means all. It's like when you look at what Muhammad did. He says basically, see the box, that big box. He says I'll put every single god you're worshipping into this box, and you'll start worshipping the one God, and that's Allah, the All. Do you know what I mean? But when you start to look at any, they're not worshipping one God, they're worshipping all their Canaanite gods and all the gods that they were worshipping back in the day, where Muhammad put into the Kaaba just to appease them and stop them from arguing and fighting. And they came to basically, this is it, he's worshipping the one God, and the one God is all Aleph. So he's the Kaaba of all. That's our right. Everybody should be in this Kaaba.
Yeah, there you go. But you see, I was taking it from the French because that's the language that I learned at school. So à la carte, à la, whatever, à la maison, à la. So that's each individual one of us has our own cab. So that's the Qabalah. But yeah, then Paul's coming with another layer. Again, see, it's still all in each at the same time.
Yeah.
We're just looking at the very roots of all these mysteries. And what are they? They're us. It cannot be anything else because we're all there is.
No, you're right, Lindsay. You're so spot on there. It's true, man. We are all there is. And it was our ancestors who created this. Don't get me wrong, some of them decided to use it to better themselves. They used it to basically, so they could be kings and we would be their servants. Do you know what I mean? They've used this magic so basically they would get everything and we would be their skivvies, instead of saying, look, this is all of us. It's been stolen, kind of. Do you know what I mean? Stolen by those in the elite for their own doing, to keep us their serfs, you could say. Skivvies.
Yeah, exactly. If you go back far enough to just before the Black Plague, there was two classes. There was the servants and the servants and the rich ones, and that was it. It was feudalism.
Yeah, I studied that in college. I went and studied sociology in college, and basically feudalism, serfdom, feudalism. When you look at that was basically, back in the day, that was a plutocracy. That was gold-backed money. So when you get people like Alex Jones saying, yeah, bring back gold-backed money, just go and read your history and look back when it was a plutocracy, and it wasn't very nice. You know what I mean? You were the landowner, whoever owned that land, you were his bitch, you know what I mean?
So what has changed, people? Two classes. What have we got now? We've got two classes. We've got one class that wears fluoro shirts, and we've got another class that wears business suits. So what has changed?
Yeah, you're so right, Bob. This whole idea of being a working class, middle class, and upper class, it's all bullshit, because there's no such thing as a middle class. There's just a working class and an upper class. It's just people who are in middle class have got a bit more money and think they're a bit better than everybody in the working class category. But they're still going out every day and doing their jobs, going to their work to pay their mortgages, just so they can say, I've paid 250 grand for my house. I'm better than you because I work in a house. And it's like, no, you're still a worker, mate. You're still a slave to the system, but you've got the preconceived idea that you're middle class. And it's like, no, man. There's no such thing as middle class. There's those who have and there's those who work to get. Do you know what I'm saying?
Slaves and educated slaves.
What happened with the Black Plague was
slaves and educated slaves.
Yeah, well, I believe we're all equal and we're all unique, and that's where I come from. And Paul, have you come across a Scottish guy called Alistair Hewlett? He made his westing about 4 or 5 years ago. He's a world famous singer-songwriter, folk singer, but he's got a lot of great Welsh. Celtic history in his songs. And there's one line that, he's a good mate of mine. We talk. There's a great line from one of his songs that goes, "A rifle is just a weapon with a working man at either end." Anyway, that was just popped in.
That's a good one, isn't it? Yeah, indeed. Mm.
How many people are tricked by that? The patrioticness, Queen and country. You need to defend your family. Look at World War One. That was just Couple of royal families have a wee disagreement in that, and then we have to go and fight battles for them. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, I said that a couple of nights ago.
That can never happen again. That has to stop, you know.
Yeah, we need to start looking at
about World War
especially
I
what's going on in the world. And we need to start protesting. Not so much protesting this, but like, I would go sending Kate's work to them. Let's see what username here. This is what username going to war, by the way. User evil men. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I actually had that.
In the name of government, it's shocking. Like,
I actually had that, and I wasn't planning on airing it because I've spoken to Kate privately about it this afternoon. But seeing as you've mentioned it there, Paul, I'm going to mention it. In my non-physical work, the non-physical realms, what some of us call dreams, and what Sivan Bomar says, you may as well get a different name for it because they're not dreams. I'm very active in that realm, as some of you know. And this morning, because it wasn't really nighttime dream, they're usually the most profound ones are in the morning. Anyway, long story short, I was finding myself in the company of some military types in a public place, sort of a venue where they were around a table with some civilian types. And I happened to be there, and it was a bit of an undercover thing. They were kind of what's the word? They were sort of semi-formal, but they were still obvious to me. And they were trying to infiltrate something. It was very, very slippery. But anyway, I spotted it, and I said, oi, 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 name fraud and, you know, and all that. And because they didn't know about it. And I didn't have to say very much. But one of them, who happened to be opposite me on this long table, was wearing 3 stars. So he's 3-star general. But he wasn't wearing his full uniform, but I could see these stars. They were all in the wrong place, and they were the wrong size and everything, but they were there. So I identified him as that. And I was right up in his face across the table, poking him and saying, and that is a lie, and you're not the name, and you're a criminal, and it was quite funny, actually, because they just listened, and they just stopped what they were talking about, their little plans and everything. It all went out the window, and they were just absolutely fascinated and started talking amongst themselves about the name fraud and what the reality of that meant to them in that moment. And their wives came in, and there was food, and there was a social occasion where they were all discussing this truth. So as far as I'm concerned, we've got the military. I think it was Air Force, but anyway, I'm talking about American. But regardless of that, I'm taking the 3-star generals, and I'm taking the military as informed. They know. Next.
Oh, it's a strange
there you go.
Strange dream. But you know yourself, as Savannah and that and many others have said, it's another world when you dream, like.
I get so much stuff I don't air. I don't air most of it, but that I wasn't planning to, but now it came up. I thought, well, I'll put it in there because it's out there now.
Out there, why not? Then.
Yeah, no, well, a lot of it is, you know, I just pay attention to where we're at, you see. This is a lot of what I do, you're not hearing about because that's my own thing, and I share it with Kate, and we keep pace with where we are at and what's broken and what's busted, and there's much going on all these non-physical levels. And that was just the most recent. So I'm taking the military, at least part of it, at least a third of it, as being done. So, we'll watch for the rest, and if I do get any more, I'll let you know. But anyway, other people are getting all their stuff, and they can come and share too.
Yeah. You're definitely right there, buying it the way Ninja. One of the things that I brought back from my DMT experiences was that what you experience when you're asleep and your subconscious is processing things and you're in another world is exactly what you see when you take ayahuasca. It's exactly the same. It's a complete world.
The dream state is kind of trippy. I've had a few wild dreams myself, They're like,
But for me, the beauty of it was they didn't take much convincing. I was ready to do a big long spiel because I was all fired up, and they just heard the words name fraud, criminal, birth certificate, ain't your name, and they just okay. And they just wanted to talk about it amongst themselves and just stopped what they were doing. It's so vital, it's so simple, and it's so pure, and it's so the right time that because of all those things, those people receiving that information now are just saying, okay, I got it. I mean, look at what happened with Bindi and those Dutch police. They're just...
No, it was the judge. It was that story she told about the judge. What a story, man. The judge gone into the cafe and sitting crying.
Yeah, but there's an update to that, darling, if you haven't heard. And there's 3 Dutch police who've resigned on the strength of her information, which is our information that we share at this table, that she passed on. She passed it on to one of them, and then he obviously took it and went, okay, went off and did whatever he had to do to decide and research and prove it to himself. I don't yet know the details. And he quit his job, and he took 2 of his colleagues with him. They got the truth from him, and they quit. This is recent stuff. This is a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that she heard that they quit. And the plan is, now this is in Rotterdam, the plan is to have all their colleagues from the class that graduated the police academy at that point, all of them out. Now they've got 3 of them out. One of them won't go out. He actually works at the police academy. He won't go out until the end of his contract because he wants to do his bit from within. So they're still trying to get the others out. But the point is, this is from one of Kate's flyers. I don't know which one it was now. Attention police, probably. Put it in his pocket and he went away. He was on the street, a beat cop. And they've left. So we're going to be opening up the Dutch marketplace, if you like, with a little bit more information. Bindi and I may be doing some Dutch and English shows to try to open that up and get those guys to have somewhere to come and talk and have somewhere to listen and share with their friends, So we'll see how that goes. But this is falling to pieces on the one hand and falling into place for us on the other hand, very fast now. And
sheer amount of people now from all over the world.
Yeah,
it's like people from here and there, and it's like, we get this and we're doing this, and it's like, wow, what a movement this is, and it's just because this table and people coming and explaining their findings. It's such a beautiful thing, man. It really is such a beautiful thing. If more came to the table, there's a couple on Facebook like Fire Phoenix. I want Fire to come on the show and explain these Gnostic findings, because Fire's been studying the Samuel Arm Wolf for a while now, really heavily, and it's like, Fire, come on and explain your findings, brother. It's like more people coming on and saying, I've been researching this, and I think this is linked to this. Do you know what I mean? It's when we start to join the dots.
It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? Because the system relies on these people to function, right? Like the military and the police and whatnot, and yet once you've finished your service, or if you become aware of what's actually information that's out there, you either switch sides when you're in there or you switch sides when you leave, and the system is creating more and more of these people who are awake and aware of exactly what it is, how it works, and yet it relies on them at the same time.
Yeah, but it's like you just said.
This is the thing,
It's like they need us. We're the machine that keeps this thing going. It's not the machine that goes itself. You know what I mean? We're the oil that keeps it going. You know what I mean?
I mean, obviously,
they prop up these systems.
Yeah, obviously these people are genuine people that join the forces, A, because they think it's a good thing, and B, because it's a job, and jobs are hard to come by, and so they've got the right intent, and when they realise something's wrong, like Amy who comes to the table, I mean, she's got a beautiful story about quitting already before she found this table because it just felt wrong. She wasn't happy with what she was being asked to do, but she joined, for the right reasons. They didn't go in there to become some kind of control freak that wants to give everybody a hard time.
So, it's just that's what pisses me off, Ninja. It's just a lot of the law now. It's not about justice. It's just about money. Do you know what I mean? We're just interested in money. We're not interested in any justice here.
Yeah, it's just revenue collection now. It's gone absolutely insane. I mean, when I was a kid, I'm 50 now. When I was a kid growing up, we lived, almost in the back door of the police station, and to us, they were the friend. There wasn't. We didn't. It was just different. I'm not saying they were anybody's friend in those days, but to us, they were, because we didn't have any issues, and there wasn't that sense of them being the enemy by any means, not at all. In fact, I have not had any negative interactions with police. I've had very few of them at all, and none of them have been negative. But I can imagine. If I was still living in the big city and going about my day to day, I'd be facing these muppets all the time.
Yeah, because you know yourself, Nance, you not so much a police force, but you would maybe still need somebody to try and regulate these people who are not getting it, who just want to be scumbags and criminals and and go robbing your hussies and being basically animals instead of being the gods they are. You know what I mean? You're going to still have to need a wee bit of people.
I don't know. I mean, there is that risk. Of course, there's that possibility. I'm not creating that, but I'm aware of what you're talking about. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Why not?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like if everybody got it, you wouldn't need anything like this. You wouldn't.
This is what I'm wondering. If they get it as well, then they're going to say, "Oh, okay, I don't have to do that." Why do they do it anyway? They do it because they're skint. They do it because they're frustrated. They've got no prospects, and they feel the whole world is against them.
Yeah, you look at like the youth crime in Britain. I feel sorry for the youths in Britain because they've got a hard time. There's no jobs. There's nothing for them. There's nothing for them to do. All they've got to really. They'll go and watch the TV, and all they say to them is, "You're nothing, but if you go and become a celebrity or a football player, you've made it." And it's like, there's so many children, all they want to be is famous.
The young people need truth more than we even needed it, because we didn't have such a hard time coming up. But the young people need truth more than we need it, because they need the hope it gives them that actually none of this is their fault, that the whole system was geared up from the time they were babies against them, literally. And that they can, have a whole different experience of life than what they've had up until now. Simply knowing this information, simply knowing the name's not theirs, all this system is criminal, and the whole thing is set up to make them fail and to be a slave. That's all they need to know to change absolutely everything overnight.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. How many young black lads in London and that ninja are no criminals, they're just normal young laddies maybe going to their school or just doing whatever, or getting stopped by the police for nothing, stop and search. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
they've been doing stop and search for years. I mean, it's just worse now. But this is it. The beauty of it is this truth is so simple. Everyone can understand it. You don't have to study for 6 months under somebody that's going to send you down a legal bloody rabbit hole that you'll never come out the other end of. And we really need to start kicking those people's asses, because it's absolutely unforgivable that if you have this information and you have access to it, that you're still touting your bullshit, bollocks, bloody knot-tying, mind-numbing, so-called legal remedies. If I ever meet somebody face-to-face who's talking to me about a legal remedy, I'll fucking lamp them, because I'm really that mad at it.
I watched a lawyer, and it's like, I'm going to end up having to study fucking law here with this shit. There's something more simple than just reading all these technical law terms so you could go into court and argue with these people. Do you know what I mean? What's the point of this? When it's simple, like Kate's pointed out, when it's really simple, it's your name. That's what's they're getting you. That's the mark of the beast, you would say. Commerce. You can't trade in commerce unless you've got your national insurance number, which all stems from the name. All goes back to the name.
It's too simple. That's the problem. We've said it so many times. It's too simple.
Why would you want to play on their turf?
Well, exactly, Bob. Perfect. That's the question.
And the other thing is, for me, free energy is here, and
it's us.
People are realizing competition, and the competitive environment is no longer supportable, and from where I'm sitting, humanity is moving down a posture of cooperation away from competition. And as that becomes more and more established, everybody will have everything they need. So there is no need to steal from somebody else, because you're stealing from yourself, because everybody is contributing to the good of all. But there's another point I would like to make, and it comes down to, for me, personal responsibility, personal accountability. When I was a lad, employment was pretty good, but still, the jobs were crap. What I've done throughout all of my life is I've gone for jobs that excite me, that resonate with me, that I've enjoyed, and if I haven't enjoyed them, I've moved on. And to do that, I had to move home. When I finished my apprenticeship, I joined the Merchant Navy, and I had a great time doing that, and then I became the manager of a clean air company, and then I got into automotive research, and then I got into sale training, and so for me there is an element of personal responsibility. Like, don't go just because there's nothing handy, you know. There's your ideal job just isn't around the corner, you know. Don't go home and veg out in front of the TV with a McDonald's. Get off your ass and go get a job. Get the job that you want for all of your life. Don't be a victim. It's just so easy just to sit back and blame the system. Oh, there's no jobs. My experience in just travelling around Australia as a folk singer, there's always work. You know, I didn't get enough gigs to support me, but wherever I logged in, there was a tractor to fix, or fruit to pick, or trenches to dig. So, you know, my message is take ownership of your life and go for the jobs that you want to do, because they're there. You just got to put in the effort to find them. And
I think definitely take ownership of your life. I mean, this is what we're doing. We're literally taking ownership back. And this is the beginning step for everything else to follow afterwards. Because until you take ownership back of your very self, you can't really be that effective in very much else, I shouldn't think. It seems to me anyway. Because that's the foundation of the rest of your life, isn't it?
Working for a fictional system that uses currency to create artificial scarcity in a world of abundance is just...
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, look, lads,
how many people out there actually... How many people out there actually...
what I would like to lay on the table.
Work to do, hold on. This is getting mad now.
Sorry, Bob. Several different Skype blags, and they're all overlapping each other, and I don't know if any one of us can speak without stepping on anyone else.
What I would just like to... I would like to lay a gauntlet on the table, not, you know, just for me, about... I'm totally committed to my own sovereignty and the fact that I am totally responsible for everything in my life. And I suppose for me, I started my career as a fiddle turner. I served my time in the dark satanic mill just outside of Newbury in Berkshire, and now I'm living on my own yacht in the islands. I have my inner peace. I'm content. And now it is my fervent belief that if a simple fiddle turner can create his own heaven on earth, then anyone else can. And for me, all it took was the courage to follow my heart and take ownership of my life.
Beautiful, Bob.
What you did, Bob, was take your Qabalah, Bob.
Yeah, and it's been a wonderful ride. It's been a magnificent ride. It's been a ride where I've been scared shitless so many times and so close to death so many times. But, you know, I'm alive. You know, I have lived and I'm still living. And that's the beauty of it. I'm not numb. And I feel empathy for all those people. But I just think, you know, I can feel it. I don't know if you can feel it. The energy that's radiating from gatherings like these is just spreading out there. Ripples in a pond. And people are seeing the ripples and seeing the light shine. And they're coming on board. And that's such a beautiful realization for me. It is happening. I know it's happening. I feel it's happening. So it's a beautiful time to be alive. And thank you all guys for allowing me to share. It's an honour and a privilege always to connect with such like-minded and beautiful souls.
Well, thank you, Bob. And look, guys, we're almost at that point where it could drop off at any moment. And, you know, we've had almost the full hour. So what I'm going to do, if that's okay with everyone, is just play another song and let that fade out, and then we're going to close off. So if anybody has anything else they'd like to say before I do that, then jump in. And otherwise we'll call it a morning for me, night for everyone else.
No, that's me, Ninja. Thanks for the evening.
For sweet
good
dreams.
chatting. Been good chatting, me, Ninja. Been good chatting with you, Bob, and Mystified and
sweet
Boy.
dreams.
Yeah. Thanks for the show tonight, Paul. It was fascinating. It really was.
Well, I tried.
Thank you.
Oh, you did a wonderful job. Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing that back. Yeah. Okay, well, look, everybody, thanks so much for taking part. It's not easy for me hosting. I'm not actually used to it. I don't think I ever will get used to it. I actually don't really like it. I'm not really, I'm always nervous. So it's so appreciated, Paul, that you came on with such a lovely...
Yeah, I was usually nervous myself now, but the night, it's not been there. The periods have just smashed out of the box, hen.
Yeah,
if you ever need a hand, then I'm always available.
Oh, thank you, darling. All right.
I love that sort of stuff.
Okay, excellent. Well, look, so I'm gonna play a song and say once again thanks to everybody for tuning in, for sharing, for calling in, and for taking part at the outset. And I actually don't know this song because some of the newer ones I haven't actually heard. So I'm going to play one just going by the title of it, and it's called It Is You. And after all, that's what we're here talking about ourselves. It is all about you. So on that note, thanks again, Kate, for this wonderful music, and we'll see all of you next time. Okay, good night and God bless.
Night, everyone.
Take me so high, it's everything you do, it's what you say.
information that you just can't even read it all. It's just reams and reams of it.
So much out there.
Yeah,
so
there's so much. And
sorry, go on, you going in?
Well, the point that it struck me was, my goodness, there's so much information out there. There's some incredibly knowledgeable people. And not only in one area, in very many areas like yourself, there's so much knowledge. And I'm by seeing that amount of knowledge, I realise how much I don't know in this life. But then I'm okay with that, because I just, I just pick up bits as I need them, and I go along. But it did occur to me, I must have lived more than one lifetime. We all talk about that, don't we, Paul? Oh, well, in another life.
There's got to be something.
Yeah. And so therefore I've decided, as I said, I wrote all that stuff, or one version of me, or another version of you, or you know what I mean? It has to have been us. Who else could it have been? We're all here anyway.
I think I can't even really mind her name. There's a woman who writes a lot of books. I can't mind her name. And it's all about basically past life regression and stuff like that. Been speaking to a friend, Terry, quite a bit about it, and she's been telling me bits and bobs. That's her thing. She's right into it, And it's kind of interesting, but it's, you look at it, reincarnation. The Buddhists believe it. Do you know what I mean? It's many lives, many souls, people. That's my personal opinion. You do you know what I mean? You are born again, but that's because if you really want to analyse it Kabbalistically, you could say that's because we've not managed to be Ophiuchus and grab control of Ouroboros and break free this paradise, which is kind of, as Milton would say, but paradise lost, So it's a bit of double-edged sword when you start to look at this. And then I got into it because of reading history, like history stuff. When a few years ago, about 8 years ago, I started looking into my family history, and it sprung up quite a lot of stuff. Like MacAlpine, who named it was King Kenneth MacAlpine. He named Scotland, and I was reading into that, and they mentioned Stone of Destiny, Stone of Jacob, and that's how I got into looking at the Jewish stuff, because I'm not Jewish. Do you know what I mean? It took me down a completely path what I didn't expect at the time, because really being brought up in a Christian environment as a Catholic, you're kind of drummed into you as a child to be a little bit anti-Semitic. Do you know what I mean? And you don't really know why, but you grow up kind of, these Jews. Do you know what I mean? And then I started to look into the Torah and things like that to do with Kabbalism, and we would basically be Jewish still if Jesus didn't come along. Do you know what I mean? That was the main. We could just say what changed it. Do you know what I mean? What took us on a different path. So we became from what the Jews would say would be kosher to Gentiles, because they didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah and all of that. So that's how I got into starting to look at Qabalah, to see what it really was. Plus, when you go on YouTube, there's a lot of people saying, Qabalah, it's Satanism. It's Satanism, and I'm saying, well, why would the Jewish people be practicing, do you know what I mean, Satanism and no telling anybody about it? I can't see that. Do you know what I mean? And I looked into it, and it's like, there's not really any Satan when you start to look into this. There's just us, and there's angels, and there's, like many people have said, you've got archons. The archons are the watchers. You've got good angels and you've got bad angels. Do you know what I mean? And then that's basically what I'm saying to myself, what's this got to do with the angels and all of this carry on? And then it took me on a crazy path, looking into Kabbalism, and I'm saying, wait a minute here, this is different. Like, say, when they speak about Satan, I said before, the Jewish people would say that Satan is the prosecutor. He's just here basically to prosecute you, to make sure that you're getting sent back here type thing, so you're not getting into heaven. Do you know what I mean? That's what they would say, you're not getting into heaven. Do you know what I mean? But Albert Einstein, he was a mad Kabbalist. He said he really did know his stuff, but when you start to look into the last years of his life, and he basically devoted the last 11 years to his life to Kabbalism. looking at the letters, the numbers, stuff like that. And when he was a bit older, that's when he started to become a little bit more round and profound, as they would say. Do you know what I mean? He said that, this is really interesting, he said everything in the world, everything in the universe, or whatever, it's energy. Energy, right? So he says that that's basically it. That's all it is. There's just energy. He says, so what you need to do is match the frequency of the reality you want. Right? It basically match the frequency to the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. Do you know what I mean, Ninj?
Yeah,
that's when you start
that.
to look into Kabbalism. You are a magician, and you are basically getting kept from you. That's my opinion. It's kind of getting kept from you, but they want to correct you. There's a lot of correction and stuff to do with Kabbalistic. What people would say is the Kabbalistic tree of life. In my opinion, I would call it the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because as you see in the Masonic pillars, there's two pillars. One's black, broken, one's white. So that would signify the good and evil. Plus you've got the middle pillar, what you could say would be the tree of life. So when you're looking at the Kabbalistic tree of life, when you're seeing, like say, it's the 3 lines with all the circles around it, the middle pillar is what you want to keep to. The other 2 pillars, basically, I would say would be the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So a lot of people, like say the Masonic fraternities, they use these trees in their Kabbalistic rituals. Do you know what I mean? That's like say the G, that's a reference to Qabalah. What would be severity, judgment, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of harsh when you get up further up the tree. But it's interesting stuff, man. It's interesting stuff. Like
I actually just Googled Qabalah and just picked the images because I wanted to scroll through the images to see what appeared. Obviously, they're many and varied, and I've left that page open for the show because I don't do any internet searches while I'm actually on the air because that messes up my connection. So I've got the page already open. So I'm looking at the Tree of Life images amongst many other things. I see what you're saying, to walk the central path rather than deviating to the left or the right, because there is a definite 3 lines there, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, like say, if you would see in one of them, that would be Hod, Chesed in Chokmah. Well, Chokmah wouldn't really come in, it would just be Hod and Chesed, and the other side you would take Netzach and Geburah. So these are your 2 pillars you want to keep away from. You want to kind of stick to Malkuth, Yesod, Tippereth, and Kepha. But I would like to go into what they actually represent in that, because it's all to do with the representations of these Sephira. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know what they represent. A lot of people are saying,
let's take the layer.
Let's
take the layer off and see what's down there, because that means nothing to me, those names. So tell me about them. Well,
like say, you would say Kepha. That would be the top. That would be the top triad. That would be the crown, right? That's basically Kepha means crown, right? And then down for that, you would take Chokmah and Binah. That would be what you could say would be the Holy Father and the Holy Mother. You know what I mean? And they represent, Binah represents understanding, and Chokmah represents wisdom. I'll leave out Daf just now because Daf isn't actually a Saphira, but it's on the tree. Right? So when you get down a bit, you've got Geburah, as I said, would be severity. It would also represent as Mars. And then you've got Chesod, and that would represent
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Hello, good evening everybody. This is Ninja, and in case you haven't noticed, Kate isn't here saying good evening everyone and welcome to Outside the Box, because it's me, because she's having a night off, a well-deserved rest, and she can take as many of those as she wants as far as I'm concerned. We've had the pleasure, the honour and the gift of Kate with us 7 nights a week for so long. I don't even know how long. And it's always difficult for her to take time off because she's so dedicated But, just make it known, for my part anyway, that any time you need my love, any time at all, just take it. Regardless if somebody can stand in or not, just take it. Okay, so having said that, I would like to wish Kate very well, and moving on to what we've got planned for this evening, because we actually do have something planned. I've got a special guest, Paul, who you all know. He's been on the show a few times now at the table. And he's going to be joining us shortly. I'm going to unmute him in a moment to discuss the Qabalah. Now, I'm very lucky, actually, because I came onto whatever it is this lifetime around to do. Clearly, I'm doing some of that now. Not having studied very much like some people, not feeling the inclination for whatever reason. And I was wondering about that, because this is a subject I know little to nothing about, like many subjects. And I was wondering about that only the other day. And I decided that the reason is simple. I wrote those ancient texts that we often refer to. I am the ancients. I may not remember what I wrote or those lives I lived, but I do know it all. I know all of it. This lifetime, I've given myself the gift, let's say. I'm going to coin a phrase that I haven't heard before, so I'm going to say the gift of divine ignorance. For, just clearing the path in this life for what I came here this time to know. So, obviously I'm going to have forgotten a lot of stuff. I'm going to be ringing alarm bells and resonating and all this stuff, But I haven't studied very much. I'm what some people would call a font of useless facts and, bits of knowledge here and there. But I've never been a heavy studier. And I'm grateful for that, because I don't have very much to unlearn. Having said that, I'm very grateful for those of us who have done that this lifetime round, that are willing to come and share what they know, that have put years and years of dedication into the specialist subjects, if you like. Sounds like a quiz show, doesn't it? And Paul is one of those, and his knowledge is vast, and this is just one of the areas that he's decided to spend a lot of time on. And without further waffling on from myself, I'm going to open up Paul's line. Welcome to the show, Paul. How are you doing?
Hi, Ninj. I was just listening there. Yeah, I agree with you fully. We do know all this. It's just been... we forgot it. Do you know what I mean? We forgot it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do, I'm always amazed at the information and the knowledge that is shared at this table and everywhere else. I mean, it's the information age, and the internet's there. You press a button, you put a search term in, and there's some amazing information.
If I have to practice, when you're going to practice in it, it's really quite Jewish. It's like the Torah. Constantly reading the Torah. You're constantly reading the Torah for hidden allegories. Do you know what I mean? Hidden meaning, stuff like that, which is going to help you correct yourself. Do you know what I mean? But apart from correcting yourself, it's like, you read it, and I don't even read these rabbis' name. I call them iceberg gold fucking something. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all the same names. And it's like Rabbi such and such and Rabbi such and such and Rabbi such, and it's like, fucking hell. But you'll read what they're saying. Do you know what I mean? And then it all still comes a wee bit down to them saying, you need to be reading the Torah. You know what I mean? You need to be studying the Torah to be a true Kabbalist. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not really into that, Ninja. I'm into studying I'm into reading other religions, because there's a little bit of this in all of the religions, because all of these religions came from Abraham. Do you know what I mean? And Qabalah, cube, as I was speaking about, it all refers to cubes. Do you know what I mean? It's like circles and squares, circles and squares, circles and squares, geometry, secret geometry. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that, and it's quite. It can be quite mathematical as well.
Well, that's another subject. That's another subject I've struggled with my whole life, maths. It don't compute, literally don't compute. So that's something else I realised I don't need. If I get it,
numbers,
I
it's
don't
like
need
double
it.
Dutch.
Yeah.
Like double Dutch, man.
Yeah.
But as I said, there's a lot of, when you start to look into the 10 Sephira and all of that, or the 11, the Qabalah, there's a lot of Kabbalists in physics, like Albert Einstein and that. You start to look like Oppenheimer. There's Oppenheimer. He was a Jewish Kabbalist as well. He helped make the bomb. Do you know what I mean? And it's some of them made kind of nasty stuff. Some of them are very nice when you look at some of the. But it's like, where are they getting some of this information from? Some of them say they're getting it from the Sephira, higher beings. It's like by Pythagoras says, what was it? You need to think like the serpents. Do you know what I mean? It's like, who's the serpents? Referring back to the Sephira. Do you know what I mean, then? So it's like, this is how I'm not trying to imprint anybody here, because I'm telling people, look at it logically, the way I'm looking at it, try and be biased, but no so much try and be like impartial in your judgment, then, you know what I mean? Try and take a step back and be like, yeah, I'm going to read this, but I'm not going to believe, I'm not going to entertain it. I'm just going to.
Yeah, so you're just a researcher. You're not. Yeah. And you mentioned, as you were describing some of the meanings of the names that are in Hebrew, you mentioned some of the planets, Sun, Jupiter, and so on. So obviously there's that connection, that layer is also in this. And I can see in this list of images that came up for Qabalah is an image of the solar system amongst many others. So.
Yeah, it really is. If you want, I've got all the letters here. I'll go over the Hebrew letters because really, as I said, the Phoenician Hebrew, Aramaic alphabets, the Semitic alphabets, they're all very magical. When you look at Hermetic, Rosicrucian, Amrock, you go and look at any of these funny orders. Go and look at any one of these funny orders out there, Hermetic, Golden Dawn, practicing serious magic and that. They're all using Hebrew. They're all using a Hebrew script. And it's like, oh, I see that. I see everywhere you go. You see it. And then people talk about the Illuminati. It's like, that's a spin word for an organisation that hasn't got a name. You want to kind of really go and try to figure out who the Illuminati are. My suspicions they're the Martinist order. They even made a movie. They made The Nine Gates, Johnny Depp.
Which order? Say that again. Which order?
The Martinist order. Have you never heard of the Martinist order?
I've never even heard of that.
Well, everybody start to look up the Martinist order because in my opinion that is your real Illuminati. The Martinist order. Yeah, the Martinist order. Started up in France by a man called Saint de Martin. Johnny Depp did a movie about it called The Nine Gates, but he never really went into too much yet.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, you see, this is...
Mercy. And that would be Jupiter. And then you've got Tiferet. That would represent beauty, or the sun. And then further down you would have Hod, which would represent as splendour, and Mercury. And then you've got Netzach, which represents victory and Venus. And then you've got Yesod, which represents foundation. It also represents what you could say would be the foundation, as in basically the cubical stone. They say that God took a piece in the beginning, you know what I mean? Well, this has gone back to Genesis. In the beginning, what the Qabalah says, God took a piece, a rock, a stone, basically a cube from under his chair and flung it into the abyss. And that's what the Big Bang represents, and that represents foundation, which would be Yesod on the Kabbalistic tree of life. And that would also represent the moon. But it's also a bit of a thing gone down there to do with Malkuth, because Malkuth and Yesod they're kind of the, how can I put it, they're kind of the same thing, if you know what I mean, but they're no on the tree. It's kind of complicated to get into some of this, really is. But as I say, I'm going to try and explain the best I can. And then you've got Malkuth at the very bottom of the tree, which actually isn't represented as a triad. As you can see, when you're looking at that Kabbalistic tree, then you would see them as triads. You've got the top triad, which would be Kefer, Bina, Chokma, and then you would take the second triad, which would be Geburah, Chesod, and Tipperet, and then you've got Hod, Netzach, and Yesod. That would be the third triad. And the third triad would represent, these triads represent, you could see the body of Adam Kadmon or the body of God. But it's basically, there's more to it, because it also represents, like say, the bottom triad would represent Zeranpin, which means basically the face of God. So we've got the face of God, so it would represent us as well. Do you know what I mean? That's to do with the triad. And right at the very bottom you've got Malkuth, and that's where we are, that's kingdom, Earth. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at that, yeah, I can see those. They're grouped in threes, yeah. There's the top three, the middle three, the bottom three, but then there's two below that. Yeah,
as you see, well, no, really, if you look at it, and you see Hod, Netzach, and Yesod, that makes a triad, and there's just really one at the bottom of that, and that was the Malkuth. But it depends on what Kabbalistic tree you're looking at.
If you turn that whole thing upside down, of course the triad's still there, but they're upside down. I'm just suddenly want to turn the whole thing upside down, and it looks the same both ways. Of course, it isn't. But
that's what the above is below is kind of as well, Ninja, because eventually, through correction and all this, a lot has to do with correction to do with our egos. This is what the Kabbalists will tell you. Big egos, people have got big egos. You need to correct your ego, because when gods shouldn't really have egos or want to judge people. Do you know what I mean by that? And then you go about judging people, then you shall be judged. Do you know? And that was, when you look into it, all of this comes from Solomon and Moses. But Moses was given the Qabalah, so they say. He was given, like, say, the indexes for it. But going back, it's Solomonic. It's all to do with Solomon. Do you know what I mean? And then you look at what Solomon, who Solomon was. And Solomon, basically, he was just a wizard, but a mad magician. But in the process of studying this, in these Sephira, I don't know what they are, if they're gods or demons or whatnot. Do you know? I'm not practicing the magic, Ninja, because it is magical, and you're meant to meditate on the letters and stuff like that. And I don't do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to basically bring anything into my existence what I don't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not too sure of this Qabalah stuff.
So you're just studying the technical information, if you like, the history and the details, but you're not practicing.
I'm not practicing it. No, I'm not practicing it.
Yeah.
That's a completely different thing.